You've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen. And it's ridiculous, but when he's not on top. And the parity in college football he's been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach for him. You'll find out all the parity. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
A couple of things, Jimbo. First of all, have you had any contact with Nick since?
No. Oh, he's called.
You just didn't take the call?
Not going to. We're done.
And
he shows you who he is.
And then I just wanted to.
He's the greatest ever, huh?
And then I just wanted.
You got all the advantages?
Huh?
It's easy.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
You can call me anything you want to call me. You ain't calling me a cheat. I don't cheat and I don't lie. I learned that when I was a kid. If you did, the old man slapped you side of the head. Maybe somebody should have slapped him.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Oh, my God. Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher have lit up college football in the sports world. We will get full throttle into that throughout the show today with national writers and also our opinions and yours. But we are right now joined, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports, by Carolina Panthers head coach, former Baylor and Temple head coach Matt Rhule. Did you ever have, thank you very much, by the way, for being a part of the show. We know that it's great to have you on. Did you ever have any true feuds with a coach throughout your career at all?
I've had some heated disagreements at times. Some guys I didn't necessarily see eye to eye with, but never anything in public. I tried to always make sure that those things stayed, behind closed doors.
What are your thoughts as a former head coach in college of what you hear or see, if you have time to even pay much attention to NIL?
I don't have much time. I think I've got a bunch of buddies coaching those, so kind of hearing from them. Will Healy, the head coach at UNC Charlotte, was over at practice the other day. Marcus Satterfield, who was with us at Baylor, who's now the OC at South Carolina, was over at practice. I talked to Joey McGuire a good bit. So I've had, differing perspectives from differing guys. And, I think it's like anything else in the world. Like, there's a lot of great things about it. And when put in the wrong hands or done the wrong way, there are going to be issues with it. So I certainly hope for the good of college football that it's done the right way so that, young people can benefit. They can, benefit from the things that they do, but at the same time, it's not abused.
What is the relief versus new stress factor of not being a college coach and being an NFL coach now going into your third season?
Well, the stress factor here is, you change over 50% of your team. I guess that's kind of becoming college football, Mm-hmm. So, you have a whole new team to get to know every single year. The part of the pro football that I struggle with is just the cutting of players, letting go of players, because of the business aspect of the game. Sometimes that guy is gone, in a moment's notice. And so that part's really hard, for a guy like me that loves the relationships and that part of the game. But it sounds like, college football is kind of becoming that too. So I think the rest of this, we've got good guys. We've got guys who they've made it to this point in their careers because, they're professionals. I don't deal with many problems. I've got a great team full, and a great roster full of guys.
Well, Coach, it's good to hear your voice. I remember, hearing you early on in your Baylor tenure talking about we're going to get guys in this program. We're going to, make them good young men on and off the field, and we're going to eventually send some guys to the pros. And just a few weeks ago, Baylor football set a record for number of draft picks with 6. And you know these guys very well: Jalen Petrie, Tyquan Thornton, J.T. Woods, Terrell Bernard, Treston Ebner, Kalen Barnes, who, of course, you drafted to the Panthers in the later rounds. What was it like for you? I know you were very busy, but what was it like to see those young men's dreams come true?
Well, first of all, for them, I was excited. I had a chance to call or FaceTime. In fact, I called Tyquan not soon thereafter he got drafted, and then I was on the phone with Coach Belichick when he called back because we were executing a trade, and it was either Coach Belichick for the trade or Tyquan, and I chose Coach Belichick, unfortunately, for my chance to talk to Tyquan. But I was so happy and proud of those guys, and I think the one thing though that I did say when I first got there was it's not really about how many guys get drafted; it's about how many guys last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and you hope that the things that they learned when we were there, certainly the things that they've learned under Coach Aranda and his staff, you hope that these guys know what it means to be a true professional. We can see that in Kalen already. We have John Lovett here as an undrafted free agent. You can see that in him. Every time I turn the TV on, I see JaMychal Hasty. I mean, he's the living embodiment of what it means to be a true pro. So I was proud of those guys, just like I was when I watched them win the Big 12 championship and the Sugar Bowl. But knowing what a lot of those guys went through to get to that, it was really gratifying.
There was a time when you said what Craig mentioned, but also, Matt, that you mentioned the process. And, of course, the first year didn't go very well, and a lot of people questioned that. You never stopped believing in that. Is that the same thing right now of what you're teaching or trying to get done at Carolina?
Yeah, it's the same exact thing. I think that the difference here is that, we started to have success in the second year, much like we did at Baylor. We had some ups and downs. We were at 5-5. We had a huge win on the road at Arizona. And then, just hit a skid at the end of the year. Got a bunch of guys hurt, and, I didn't do a good enough job of getting us out of it. And so, we didn't finish with the results in year 2 that we did, at Baylor when we won that Texas Tech game and went to the bowl game and then won the bowl game. So, I certainly understand that there can be skepticism about it. But, at the end of the day, I like our roster. I like the guys we've drafted. I like the development. I think some of the coaches that we've brought in from other places, the comments they've made to me about how impressed they are with the way that our guys work, with the way that our guys learn football, with their willingness to do whatever's asked of them, with their willingness to, to police the locker room themselves. And, it's a really good culture. There's a lot of good things. It just, it's like anything else, Smoak. It just hasn't, materialized on the field to the level that we all want. So we've got to get that done just like we did at Baylor. And that's what I believe in. I think it will happen.
Obviously, the hardest thing to find is your quarterback, and you've gone through a couple of different things, and part of it was, like you said, injuries. You drafted one in Matt Corral this year. Do you feel, though, that you've built up the team now with the draft around him, especially addressing the offensive line like you have, that you might have a little more of a bubble for the quarterback to grow and get better, whoever that may be, whether it continues to be Sam Darnold or if it's Matt Corral down the road?
Well, I think all quarterbacks, they need talent around them to get open and make plays. They need a really quarterback friendly system, but most importantly, they need an offensive line that plays at a high level. And I think if you went in the room and asked Taylor Moton, who's kind of the leader of our offensive line, he would say we didn't play well enough up front. So it would be hard for anybody to play well with the way that we sometimes got overmatched on the offensive line. And so. I understand. Sam understands the quarterback takes the brunt of that. Our approach since being here is let's build the team and let's take every shot we can at every quarterback we can until we find a guy that can take us all the way. And so we built a good defense. I think that defense has a chance to be strong again this year. We've got good skill people. Christian McCaffrey is full speed and healthy, and now we think our offensive line is actually a position of strength for us. So we've done everything we can to make sure that our quarterbacks have everything they need to be successful.
Matt, when you're in the draft, and you mentioned you were on the phone with Belichick and obviously Tyquan, you drafted Kalen Barnes, but when you're during the draft and you see a need and a player that's there that's right next to another prospect, but it's a Baylor player that's also in the mix, how do you separate, or is it difficult to separate emotions of knowing that player from Baylor as well as you do? Well,
I think it's just familiarity, and sometimes it's familiarity with playing against guys. But, there's a negative, to bringing in guys that you know from college, because eventually at some point you might have to let them go, and that's hard too. So, even when it came down to Kalen at the end, me and Scott talked about it, and I told Scott, we had another guy on the board that we really liked, and I said, hey, you make the call. Do we want to go corner? Do we want to go the other position? And I think in the end, Kalen's speed went out. So I've got a great situation with our GM, Scott. He and I are really close friends, but we also see the game similarly. But yeah, there's a lot of guys, obviously a Baylor guy to me. I have a relationship with them. I know the good, the bad. I know all those things about them. But as seen in the draft, a lot of people recognize what those Baylor kids can do. And so as they have success, it makes it, easier and easier for me in our draft room to say, hey, this kid's a winner.
I know that you've had the chance to go down and drown a few minnows with Jimmy Johnson. He did that a little bit with the Cowboys early on, but he was it just about kind of picking your spots where you get those guys who know you to help build the foundation?
Well, I think it's partially that, and I think part of it too, was when those guys had other opportunities, like whether it was Clay Johnston last year, he got drafted by the Rams. He had a chance to be on the Rams. But when guys, whether it's PJ Walker from Temple or Robbie Anderson coming out, from Temple to the Jets, or him, when they've had a chance to go somewhere, they've had multiple offers. Those guys have all chosen to come here with us because they trust Phil Snow. They trust me. Hassan Reddick came here last year on a 1-year prove it and, went out and made $15 million. Matt Ioannidis this year took less, or right about the same to come with us because he trusted us. And so I think part of that is the way that we, hopefully tried to do business, with the guys in college. And, that first year, Paul, was so hard because there were no pro days. There were no real opportunities to see a lot of guys. So if there was a guy that we felt like, hey, he's a diamond in the rough, let's go get him. And that might be a kid that played for us at Baylor, but it was also a guy like Miles Hartsfield from Ole Miss, who we remembered, recruiting in high school. So those things extend both ways. And, having a guy like Evan Cooper, on our staff, he remembers the kids, what they did in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. So he's invaluable for me.
Matt, you mentioned the general manager and your relationship with Scott and friendship as well, and also the professional relationship. Is in the NFL owner, GM, head coach as imperative, like a straight line, like a spine, so to speak, perfectly aligned spine like it is president, AD, and football coach in college?
It should be. It better be. It's funny, when I left Temple, the reason why I went to Baylor, I often talk about, like, hey, I felt very called to be there in the mission of Baylor and feeling like I was uniquely ordained to step into that role someday. But the other half of it was Mack Rhodes. In the end, when you're going to move your family, you want to have this elite partnership. And I felt like I had that elite partnership at Temple with Pat Kraft, who's now the AD at Penn State. And I knew I would have that with Mack. And so coming here, I felt like I would have that with our owner, David Tepper. And when we had a chance to hire Scott, it felt the same way. So, we can disagree, we can see things differently, but in the end, we're always aligned. And that's, whether that's Mr. Tepper, whether that's Scott, whether that's me, we are always, trying to make the best decision to move this team forward, to be a playoff team, to be a Super Bowl team.
So, Coach, I pulled up an old tweet from August 15th of 2017, and it just simply says, Rhule says walk-on safety Jaron McVay is probably as talented as any scholarship player we have. So that was 2017. Fast forward to December 4th, 2021, and Jaron McVay is making one of the greatest plays in Baylor football history to win a Big 12 championship. Were you able to watch live? And as you were, or whenever you watched it, however you caught it, what were your thoughts about just the dramatics and the moment that was for Baylor football beating Oklahoma State?
I bawled. I sat on my couch and screamed and yelled, and so did Julie. We love those kids, and we love Waco, and we love Baylor, and so we were ecstatic and really fitting for it to be McVay making that play. I used to yell at Jaron all the time for tackling low in practice, and dive. I'd always say you're going to get someone hurt, and then he makes this low tackle, which was awesome, and he makes the play with tremendous effort. I think that's a credit to Dave. That's a credit to Ron Roberts and the way that they played defense there. So I was ecstatic, and obviously that was a hard year for me. At the end of the year, and us losing the way that we did, and that was really like a shining moment. And then to take it even a step further, I remember after the game, not long after, Petey and Terrell FaceTimed me, and it's amazing how encouraging words from people that you care about can go a long way. And that was a really special day for Baylor, and just watching that gave a little something back to me too.
Coach, they say that when your first year to your second year, you kind of learn more of what you're not ever going to do again than what you're going to do in the future.
Probably a weakness. Like I spend the first year just kind of, seeing, trying to figure out, hey, what does it take to win here? And then the second year, really starting to implement that, guys starting to buy into it, starting to understand it. And then really year 3, I think, is the year, whether it was Temple or it was Baylor, where everyone's kind of on the same page. You can turn the day-to-day stuff over to the team. They understand how we want to practice. They understand how we want to play. We start to see each other a little bit differently. And I think that's hopefully what happens here. I have a great veteran group of guys that have been with me that, they know my weaknesses. They know my strengths. I know who they are. And I don't have to be involved in every little thing. I can trust Christian McCaffrey and Shaq Thompson and Jeremy Chin and many, many, many more. I can trust those guys to make sure that our locker room is moving in one direction, and that's probably what was special about the teams that we had at Baylor was the Terrell Bernards of the world, the Chris Millers, all those guys. They kept our team moving forward in one direction, and you need that in the NFL because these guys are. They're not just men. They're not just grown men. They're also great men, and they've got a lot going on in their lives. And if they believe in what we're doing, they move forward. So I feel like this is a great year for me to make a step as the head coach and turn some things over to the guys and let them lead the way.
Matt, is there any similarities of what you probably need to get done this year with Carolina to what you felt like after 1-11? I probably feel like we did after year 2 in a lot of ways. Like I never forget, we went on a senior retreat, and I remember Michael. I can't quote exactly how he said it, but I remember him. I remember him saying basically we're going to play grown man football. Like we're not jumping off sides. We're not making mistakes. We're not beating ourselves. We're going to play fast. We're going to play hard. I mean, he really set the standard. And a couple sentences from Michael had way more impact than any team meeting that I could ever do. And I think that's what's happened at our place. We've been together enough now that we understand that, if we don't turn the ball over and we were second in the NFL in defense last year. If we don't turn the ball over, we play smart football, we play disciplined football, we don't beat ourselves. We've got enough good players that we can win a lot of games. And so, I felt like we were making progress last year till we hit that skid. We've got to do a good job of staying healthy in this league. But more important than anything else, we just have to protect the football and just play the type of football that we all know we're capable of. And I like our coaching staff. I like where they are. I feel like we're poised to do that.
Did Julie or any of the other members of the Rhule family get to make a draft pick this year?
No, they weren't. They weren't quite as involved this year.
She made a great call on Chuba, so
yeah.
Or Chuba,
that's
sorry.
right. No, I think they were home rooting for the Baylor, rooting for the Owls and the Bears, but also rooting for the Carolina Panthers. So we didn't have quite as many picks this year. So they would. I'd have to text them when we made the trade, like, hey, we got a pick. I don't know what you're watching, the Real Housewives or whatever, but kick it over to our game, our channel.
Matt, why don't you take jobs that are already stable?
It's funny. My agent said that to me at one point. I don't think there's any job. I don't think there's any job in the NFL that I think every job in the NFL is in flux because the rosters are so much in flux. But at the end of the day, every decision we've made for multiple reasons. Hey, this is a job where we think we can have an impact. But also, I have kids, man. I've got a 17-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old. I'll spend this weekend at dance recitals. I mean, we've also made them based upon, hey, where do we want to live and who do we want to be around? So, but I can say this, watching what Coach Aranda has done, watching what those guys have done. Coop showed me a list the other day where Khalil Keith was ranked as one of the top tackles in the NFL draft next year. Connor Galvin. I mean, I remember going to the small town in Alabama to see Khalil Keith. I mean, those things are special things. So I wouldn't trade any decision that we've made for anything.
How much did you have many conversations, or did you know Dave Aranda before you left for the NFL and he took the job at Baylor?
No, I didn't. I did not know Dave. I think maybe Phil knew him. Phil Snow had known him, but I did not know Coach Aranda at all. In fact, when he was announced as the head coach, it was the first time that I had ever known that. But we've had a chance to talk and visit a couple different times, and saw each other at a conference one time. So I have the utmost respect for him.
One more thing, Joey McGuire is at Texas Tech, obviously part of your staff, and that was just a matter of time whether you were still at Baylor or not. Your thoughts about how much he leaned on you during that time when that job became open?
At the end of the day, I think Joey's he's got something special about him. I think he's one in a million. I think he has the natural gift to lead people. And I think he cares deeply about people no matter what they can do for them. And I think a lot of people care about their players as long as their players can benefit them. But Joey's a guy who loves his guys. I went out, I was, honored to be invited to come out and speak at his clinic. I watched them practice, saw this, saw him sowing the seeds of what they're trying to build there. And, like I said, I think Joey McGuire's one of the best coaches I've ever been around. I asked him twice to come to the NFL with me. His son Garrett's with me doing a great job. But when I left the first time and when the second time, when he took the Texas Tech job, or the year before he took the Texas Tech job, I've tried to convince him to come coach with me because he'd be a great NFL coach. But I think he'll do a great job there. He's got relationships throughout the state, and now I have two Big 12 teams that I can root for.
Matt, one more thing. Did you ever forgive me for bringing up the fact you had a monster drink in your office that one day?
I think Julie's given up on me by now. Those things are far. Those things are just distant memories. You've done far more good for me than anyone ever could hope for. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, Paul, remember that? Yeah.
I remember it vividly. It's one of my favorite press conferences I've ever been to.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Smoak. Yeah. Appreciate it. Matt, one more. Do you sleep differently as an NFL coach compared to being a college head coach? Is there any difference at all in your life as far as how you live your life?
Oh yeah. I come home and I put my phone away. I'm not on my phone. I'm not. When we were at Baylor, when we were at Temple, my phone was on with the ringer on every night. Julie's phone was on with the ringer on every night. We were there for those kids 24/7. In case something happened. Something at home, something in the dorm, something academically. So, and part of that I love. Part of that, maturation process and development I love. But when I come home now, I'm just daddy. There's not a lot of work calls at night. It's just a different life. The season's a little bit longer. There's obviously a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, but it's really kind of all football, all scouting, and once you get home, there's no transfer portal, there's no recruiting, there's nothing other than just the next day's practice.
Coach, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, a guy that we got to know a little bit while he was on campus here in Waco, although he couldn't go fully the way that he wanted to, was Coach George DeLeon, who unfortunately passed away just a couple of months ago. I know he had a big impact on your life, but can you just speak to that impact and speak to the man that he was and, not just football, but just the man that he was?
Well, and I appreciate you bringing George up. And, we played Miami, and he came over, drove across the state with his lovely wife Barbara, and they came to the hotel, and it was interesting. It was like between guys who had played for him in the NFL, the Baylor guys, anybody from Temple, all the coaches that have coached for them other places. I think there were like 40 people there to see George. And the next day he woke up, he didn't feel great, couldn't go to the game, but that's what he was. He was a developer. He was a teacher. there's probably a bunch of little kids in Central Texas who, got yelled at by a bullhorn with him at the Baylor youth camp, and we had it. I mean, he coached everybody like they were going to the NFL because he loved everybody and cared about everybody. And like I said, when I see guys like Connor Galvin and Khalil Keith, having success on and off the field, that's part of George's legacy. So it was, I went up to the funeral with Bryant, and there's no other way to honor George than with food. We got a bunch of pizzas from the legendary places up there in New Haven where he's from, and on the back of the program they had his favorite pasta, and Ed Foley posted it on Twitter. And not too soon thereafter, I saw Blake Blackmar, another guy I'm really proud of, make it. And I just think that's what George DeLeon was. He was a guy who connected people. He connected people through football. He connected people through food. He connected people through relations. Really just through love. He was a wonderful man. I really miss him.
Matt, we appreciate you. I know that there's a lot going on. I know that rookie minicamp is over, and then you got to start cranking it up here pretty soon. We appreciate you joining us on the show and access that we get from you all of the time. Wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you, guys.
Matt Rhule, Carolina Panthers head football coach on Sikkim 365 Radio. And we opened up the interview with him, by the way, if you missed it, if you want to go back and listen to it, about the coaching feud, about the NIL. And when we come back, we'll dive right into Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, the SEC now being Tombstone, the movie. Paul's top 5 will be about that as well. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Payments for qualified buyers at 2.9% for 72 months with $5,000 down cash or trade. TTL Extra. See dealer for details.
Summer driving is coming. Save now at Richard Carr's Summer is Coming Savings Event. Find summer savings like a 2015 GMC Sierra 2500 HD for $318 a month, or 2020 Buick Encore for $288 a month, or get a 2015 Cadillac SRX for $212 a month. Our vehicles go through a 172-point inspection, and we pay top dollar for your trade. 100% approval is always our goal.
At Richard Carr, we give you more. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, full tanning bed and kids club, 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience, where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right. I will tell you right now, Matt Rhule, one of 32 NFL coaches on earth, and when we get him scheduled, we're going to keep him there. And yes, we understand what is a huge story in sports, college football, the landscape. We did ask him about the coaching feud and also NIL. We appreciated his answer in time. Now,
we're not going to snub Matt Rhule and get him once a year to talk about a story that we can talk about right now.
And we won't be talking about it until October the 8th and beyond when they play. This has been amazing. And I got to tell you, thank you, Nick Saban, and thank you, Jimbo Fisher. You just made our summer. You made our day. You made the rest of the week. And most of the time, college football right now is kind of neutral. There's the Jordan Addison decision that's coming down the pipeline soon. But Paul Catalina, and we can do this for a minute or two, then we're going to play part of Saban and the rebuttal from Fisher. What were your thoughts when you guys really heard and dug into what maybe he said?
Well, I will say that we now have an apology that just came down from one party. So go ahead, Paul.
I know Saban was on national radio.
My thoughts were Nick Saban was right, and he could, if he had just stopped, none of this would have ever happened. It would have been like, here's Coach Saban kind of cleverly illustrating all the different issues that can come up with NIL. But then he foolishly, and I don't say this about Nick Saban, I don't know if he foolishly, he, for some reason, decided to take shots at Jimbo Fisher, at Deion Sanders, at John Ruiz, and all three guys also that, and look, Nick Saban might be crazy like a fox here, that Alabama NIL collective might be funded, triple the time it was by Monday morning because of all this, but all three of those people are going to come back at him. Jimbo, Deion, and John Ruiz all have a reason to say something about it, and they're not wallflowers in this. So I was kind of surprised that he would do this knowing, and he's smart enough to know, because he's a very smart guy, and he knows Jimbo Fisher. They used to work together and be friends, that Jimbo's not going to take that lying down.
Nick Saban, as Craig mentioned, and then Craig, you're Nick Saban on Sirius XM Radio. I should have never singled anybody out, and I apologize for that part of it.
Yeah, so Saban apologizes. I think he probably had to realize pretty quickly that he miscalculated, and that was part of what was so interesting to me, was just how miscalculated that whole spiel was. I mean, for a guy who's usually pretty, got his wits about himself, he's usually pretty smart with what he says. You can't deny that there's clearly something getting to him about this whole thing, and the fact that there are the A&Ms of the world who are now competing with, and in some cases beating him for recruits. And I do think he feels a bit threatened. I know Alabama fans will swear up and down because Saban could do no wrong, that there's no chance in hell he feels threatened. Alabama football is not scared of anything, blah, blah, blah. But clearly he was, because there was nothing that led to him making those comments other than him throwing that out into the universe himself. So nobody said, like, hey, what do you think about Jimbo Fisher? What do you think about John Ruiz? No, he brought them into the conversation. He brought Deion into the conversation. So clearly he is a little bit rattled. I don't think you can look at it with an open middle of the road viewpoint and not see that him bringing all that up is clearly something that's been weighing on his mind. So I found that part of it very interesting, that there is a little bit of I don't like this. And I think that Jimbo had every right to fire back, and he clearly did. And he let loose, and he's clearly had some things built up that he's been wanting to say. And clearly, he's got some respect there for Saban, of course, but he's not going to take it lying down, like y'all said. I mean, he's a man too, and he's not going to like people taking shots at his program and accusing them of basically cheating. I mean, because that's what Saban did. He accused them of cheating. And in doing so, we saw Ross Bjork, A&M AD, say that they're going to take it to the SEC because that violates the bylaws. So now Saban has that to deal with. Now that'll be a tiny pebble in the road for him ultimately, but it's not a good look. And so I think that Saban took a big L here, quite frankly. I think that from every direction he took a big L. I think bringing up Travis Hunter and him, joining Deion at Jackson State, I think that's like a double whammy because you give Deion firepower and, not playing the race card so much, but I think it does give fuel to the HBCUs of like, look, man, I'm doing it this way. And you saw where Deion responded in his tweet. The word people was capitalized multiple times in that. I mean, I think that was very intentional. And so I think he gives the HBCUs a little bit of a boost, in particular Jackson State and Deion, of like, hey, we're not doing it for the money and all this other stuff. Like, we're just doing it on the up and up and bringing guys in because they're our people and this is how we do things and this is the kind of program that we're running. And then for A&M, I mean, unless you got the receipts you want to pull on all these recruits, like, first of all, to say they bought their whole class is ridiculous. Like, that's just, that right away I thought was a ridiculous statement because nobody buys their entire class. A&M is still going to be top 10 to top 15 in recruiting, without all this NIL stuff. With this NIL stuff, yes, they've got a howitzer that they can bring to the table because they're well-equipped, but to say that everybody in that class was bought, I just thought that was a totally inaccurate and kind of foolish statement to make. So I think he erred on a few different fronts. I think Deion fired back appropriately. I think Jimbo fired back appropriately. I don't know about, John Ruiz and all that, but it was fun to see. It was fun to see because, if there's any side benefits to NIL other than, raising people out of poverty in some cases or just bettering the lives of people who might not have that opportunity otherwise, amongst all the other benefits that come with that, life after football and what they potentially find themselves in that journey of NIL, maybe linking up to a company and that becomes something that they do in the future. There's a multitude of benefits, and one of the benefits is leading to things like this and us being able to sit back and be entertained by coaches clashing.
Nick Saban again mentioned that he should never have singled out anyone. He did. Yeah. He said he apologized for that.
I was just so surprised by that. I don't know how he didn't know that was going to be problematic.
And I also saw a report, and I don't know if it's true. I don't even remember whether it was an actual someone in journalism that mentioned that he didn't think about the fact that there was media at one of these things. You used to be able to have these, coach and booster donor meetings, and you could go. I've been to some of them. Mm-hmm. I've even covered a coach, Texas or A&M or Oklahoma or whoever, these little get-togethers at country clubs and or golf courses in these settings, and they may talk, they're talking to their people, to their constituents. And then in this day and age, everybody's got a cell phone.
Pre-Twitter, you could do that, and you only would hear
and nobody got offended by it either.
Well, I mean, everybody gets offended by everything, so who cares about what people getting offended by at this point? Right. I mean, as long as you're not intentionally trying to disparage them in a way, but people are going to get offended at everything, so we can't really worry too much about that. But pre-Twitter, pre-social media, you could go to these little caravans in Tyler or Dallas or Abilene or wherever, and there maybe would be a few quotes of interest that would trickle out, but they would trickle out on private message boards where you have to have a subscription for that team, and then you would see it there. You'd see a recap of some sort. But now, with cell phones and Twitter and all that, you have to know that if you say something along the lines of, basically accusing multiple programs and coaches of cheating, that is going to get out, and it's going to get out quickly. And I don't even know if that event was done by the time it had already blown up across the internet. I mean, but he had to have. That was just a miscalculation I was a little surprised by.
We're going to play about 3 minutes of Saban, 3 minutes from Jimbo, which now seems like 5 days ago, and it's going to be a cycle that runs for another day or two.
Saban also says, I really wasn't saying that anybody did anything illegal. I didn't say that. I don't think NIL is an issue at all. I think the collectives are.
He said, I reached out to both Jimbo Fisher, and Fisher said that. He goes, no, we're done. Deion Sanders, he said, I reached out to them. I never got a response. I feel bad about it. I'm not changing my philosophy. I look at the betterment of college football. It's the same guy that said that the spread offense was bad for football, wasn't safe, and now he runs one himself that's pretty damn productive with Bryce Young, and before that with the others. All right, about 3 minutes of each. This is Saban, in case some of you have been under a rock. Here is, and Paul, you edited this down along with Jack a little bit, not to take out anything that was, this is a little bit of what you get the gist, if you haven't heard it, from Nick Saban.
Well, name, image, and likeness to me is a great concept for players. Players have always been allowed to work. This is just a different opportunity for them to make money by working and using their own name, image, and likeness, whether it's signing autographs, whether it's doing commercials or ads for some company or whatever. So there's nothing wrong with that. And I told our players when this whole thing started to get agents, get representation, and so you create opportunities for yourself. And our players last year created $3 million worth of opportunity for themselves by doing it the right way. And I have no problem with that, and nobody had a problem on our team with that because the guys that got the money earned it. Now, there were only 25 guys on our team that had the opportunity to earn money. The issue and the problem with name, image, and likeness is coaches trying to create an advantage for themselves. I went out and said, okay, how could we use this to our advantage? They created what's called a collective. And the coach actually knows how much money's in the collective, so he knows how much he can promise every player. That's not what name, image, and likeness was supposed to be. That's what it's become, and that's the problem in college athletics right now. And now every player is saying, well, what am I going to get? Well, my philosophy is my job is to create a platform for our players to create value for themselves and their future by becoming better people, by graduating from school and developing a career off the field, and by seeing if they can develop a career on the field and play at the next level in the NFL. Our players have made $1.7 billion in the NFL since 2010. But now in recruiting, we have players in our state that grew up wanting to come to Alabama that they won't commit to us unless we say we're going to give them what somebody else is going to give them. And my theory on that is everything that we've done in college athletics has always been equal. Your scholarship is equal. They get equal Alston money. They get equal cost of attendance. They get equal academic support. They get equal medical attention. Everything has always been equal. So I told our players, I said, we're going to have a collective, but everybody's going to get the same amount of opportunity from that collective. Now, you can go earn however much you want. And I tell the recruits the same thing, because our job is not to buy you to come to school here. And I don't know how you manage your locker room, and I don't know if this is a sustainable model, because one of you folks are going to give some player that comes to our school a bunch of money to come to our school. And then you're going to come to the game in full strut, thinking, I'm going to tell everybody I got that guy to come to Alabama. And then he's not going to play, and he's going to transfer, and you're going to say, I'm never going to do this again. All right, so I don't know how it works. I don't know how you sustain a model like that. Now, I know that we're going to lose recruits because somebody else is going to be willing to pay them more. But name, image, and likeness is something that's here. The thing that I fear is at some point in time, they're just going to say we're going to have to pay players. If we start paying players, we're going to have to eliminate sports. It's not supposed to be something where people come and make money. And you've read about them. You know who they are. I mean, we were second in recruiting last year. A&M was first. A&M bought every player on their team, made a deal for name, image, and likeness. All right, we didn't buy one player. All right, but I don't know if we're going to be able to sustain that in the future because more and more people are doing it. Yeah. So it's tough.
Like to respond to some comments made last night in Alabama?
Yes, I would. First of all, I'll say it's a shame that we have to do this. It's really despicable. It's despicable that somebody can say things about somebody and an organization. More importantly, 17-year-old kids. You're taking shots at 17-year-old kids and their families. They broke state laws. They're all money. We bought every player on this group. We never bought anybody. No rules were broken. Nothing was done wrong. It was all in the way we do things, the ethics in which we do things. And these families, it's despicable that a reputable head coach could come out and say this when he doesn't get his way or things don't go his way. The narcissist in him doesn't allow those things to happen, and it's ridiculous. But when he's not on top, and the parity in college football he's been talking about, go talk to coaches who coach for him. You'll find out all the parity. Go dig into wherever he's been. You can find out anything. And it's a shame that you got to sit here and defend 17-year-old kids and families and Texas A&M because we do things right. We're always going to do things right. But we're always going to be here. We're doing a heck of a job. These coaches have done a great job. Our players have done a great job. The whole organization of recruiting people. It's despicable that we got to sit here at this level of ball and say these things to defend the people of this organization, the kids, 17-year-old kids and their families. It's amazing. Some people think they're God. Go dig into how God did his deal. You may find out about a guy that a lot of things you don't want to know. We built him up to be the czar of football. Go dig into his past or anybody that's ever coached with him. You can find out anything you want to find out, what he does and how he does it. And it's despicable. It really is. And it's a shame we have to sit up here and have this conversation about things we do. And it's personal to us? Yes, it is. It's personal to A&M. It's personal to our players. It's personal to our coaches and everybody involved. And I know the guy. Know him really well. It's amazing that we're allowed to do those things. It's really despicable. And I hate it. For our players who are coming here, who did things the right way, have done things the right way, and will continue to do things the right way, I apologize to you that people insult you publicly the way they're doing it. And our fans, I apologize to you guys for people saying those things about Texas A&M. But promise you this, there are no violations. There are nothing wrong. It's the second time we've had to do this with grown men who don't get their way and want to pout, throw a fit, and act up. Just go ask all the people who work for him. You'll know exactly what he's about. I always said this. My dad always told me this. When people show you who they are, believe them. He's showing you who he is.
All right. We're going to break here for a commercial so we can stay on time. We'll have Max Olson, theathletic.com at 4, among others. At 5 o'clock, we're pretty open as well. Most of the 5 o'clock hour about this as well, and in between we'll discuss it. Your thoughts, chat, opinions, and ours as well. Saban-Fisher, NIL, college football, and the SEC is now Tombstone, the movie, and maybe they always were. Sick 'em, 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. What a great story. Bob Mock, the owner. 5 locations now. 5 locations in Waco alone. That wasn't the case even just about, 4 months or 5 months ago. There were 2 or 3. Belmead, China Spring, and Woodway. And now there's a new store, of course, that opened up recently in Robinson. And now the one in Hewitt is open as well, so it gets even more coverage, gives them more coverage, and you, for Marco's Pizza just south of the southern part of Waco. Marco's Pizza, again, the fastest growing pizza chain in the country, over 1,000 stores right now. It's not like something that was open 40, 50 years ago. It's been open for just about 30 or so, and look where they are. Bob Mock is a guy that he himself has transformed his own body from someone that really struggled at times being healthy to running a triathlon recently. He knows how to build things and knows how to create things, including what he's done himself. And now he's got 5 stores in Waco. Marcos.com has got the 3-cheese cover, the 3 different cheeses melted together. Our favorite is the all-meat pizza. And then we love that pepperoni magnifico, which has, 2 or 3 different pepperoni toppings as well. Marco's Pizza, 5 locations in Waco and also probably where you live. Marcos.com.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Boots add protection.
Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
All right, we have Max Olson coming up just after the top of the hour on, Saban-Fisher, NIL, and college football's chaos in a lot of fun ways. The chat room, it's back and forth. Those who think Saban's right, and there are those who think Fisher's right, and there are both that think that some that think both of them are just they're both lying. And then some of them, and I've said this, why can't both be right?
I think it's D. They're both wrong in some ways, right in some ways. You know, like I don't think there's any clear-cut position to really take here in terms of I don't think Saban's all the way wrong in voicing his the delivery sucked, but in voicing his concerns. And I know it's funny coming from him. And we've seen, Jimbo shoot through that with, you suddenly don't have all the advantages and whatnot. I do think, Jimbo threw out some threats there that, I would like to see a little more flashlight shown on whatever he's referring to, as far as Saban goes and the people who have worked for him and all of that. So if you got something to say, keep talking then, if you want to dig up all the skeletons. But I know that was also a warning sign of, hey, I know where the skeletons are, and so do others. But, yeah, Saban's backed down pretty quickly from this. I think he still maintains his points about NIL, and you can, again, say that, that's funny coming from Alabama, who has every inherent advantage that there is in college football. Perhaps nobody has more than they do, but I do believe there is some part of him that has always looked out for the game of college football, and I do think that he might have delivered it wrong, but the overall message is still like, hey, we do need to make sure this gets cleaned up a little bit. And, if it was somebody else saying it from another school, then we would probably not care. But the fact that it's Saban that's why we do care is his thoughts on it. But I understand why people are dismissive of it, and I understand why Jimbo reacted the way that he did. I think it was funny to see Lane Kiffin poke his head in there and, say that he was speechless for the first time ever when he heard Jimbo's comments. And it's made for a lot of fun. It's made for a lot of discussion. But just for me, I don't see it as like black and white, like this guy's totally wrong and this guy's totally right. I think there's a mixture in there, and it's not that clear cut.
Yeah, Aaron Anderson and Jimbo, we trust. If you're an A&M fan, it's like Republicans and Democrats, right? On this deal?
It is. But and look, Jimbo's won it. People forget because it's been a long time. But he won a national title. He's been at places that have won national titles. He and Nick Saban won one together at LSU. So he knows what it takes. It's not like, look, he's in a school that hasn't won one at A&M, but it's not like he doesn't know how to recruit to get to those levels, even pre-NIL standards. So those are things that, I'm sure he takes very personally, because Nick Saban kind of makes it seem there in a broad sense like, well, why would anybody go there if not for this? Well, people were going there anyway. Like, did they get from 10th to 1st by NIL? Yeah, probably. Jimbo pretending that it's not a factor is where he loses me a little bit. Where he should say, yeah, of course it's a factor, but look, he's had people with the big NIL lawyer who negotiates all these things that said, yeah, he doesn't pay attention to it. I mean, he's out of it, but the A&M NIL collective is just that good. Yes, this is an organization in Texas A&M that back in the 80s already had this machine built before they got caught. Yeah, well, it's essentially just restarting what you were doing before, and now it's all legal. So
one thing about the SEC that we've mentioned a lot about how the Big 12 had so many people who are always trying to cut each other and always trying to maybe undermine each other. The SEC, we know all of them kind of, there's no question, there's anger and great rivalries, but this is one of the rarities where
they didn't waste time. They have also reprimanded publicly both coaches, which is,
This is different, though, in my opinion, from a Big 12 coach doing that, because in terms of the Big 12, it was actually trying to hurt the conference and, do damage to the conference in some ways. This is just a couple SEC coaches with no threat whatsoever to their standing as a conference, just talking trash. And it's fun and it's entertaining, but it's not damaging the SEC in any way, shape, or form. And even if you were to come out and say, oh, yeah, absolutely, A&M paid every guy in their class, and Alabama's doing it too, doesn't do anything to the image of the SEC. Everybody already thinks the SEC's paying all their players anyways. Yep. I mean, nobody thinks otherwise unless you're just, I don't know, completely blind. I don't think they're paying all of them, obviously. Like I just said with A&M, to say that they had to pay for their whole class is a ridiculous statement. But even if you were to say, like, yeah, everybody in the SEC is throwing around big money, okay, that's what we've all believed for like 20 years anyways. I mean, that's not damaging to the brand in any way. Whereas with the Big 12, it was like, this is personal. Obviously, Jimbo and Nick Saban is now becoming personal. But there was just a level of hatred with the Big 12 of like, we're better than you and you don't belong with us. That was the Big 12's problem. We're carrying you, you don't belong in our group, and you're only here because of us. And in the SEC, it's just coaches fighting over recruiting. There's a big difference there, in my opinion.
There's no question this will and has been, and for less than 24 hours, just flamed up all over the place. A lot of you said, don't ever apologize unless it's something about your mother or to your mother. Saban is acting like Calipari. Kiffin is taking the high ground or high road in the SEC West.
No, he's not.
No, none of it.
No, but he's being smart. He made one little funny comment, and he's staying out of it, and making a couple memes here and there, to make people laugh and whatnot. And he's doing a good job of that. But he doesn't need to interject himself too much, because then he'll join the fray. But yeah, he's being smart, being the outside commentator, kind of laughing at it all.
Jennifer Witcher. I brought up that they always have tried, they've all wanted to beat the hell out of each other, cheat against each other, whatever. At least that's always been the perception or even opinion. And this is a little bit more public. Jennifer Witcher, per Bruce Feldman, spoke to a former SEC assistant on the blow-up. There has always been an honor amongst thieves mantra in the SEC. That's probably a much better way than I was trying to say it.
Yep.
These two just called each other's wives fat to a global audience.
Yeah, in so many ways, yeah.
Oh, my God.
No, she's right, though. The honor amongst thieves things, absolutely. That's a perfect way to put it. Yeah, because, I mean, nobody's going, oh, my God, they're paying players in the SEC. I mean, nobody's surprised by any of that part of it. It's just the fact that the coaches are now accusing each other over it.
Well,
one is.
I think about Ocean's 12, where the plot of the movie is that another thief has told somebody that they robbed about them, which is rule number one. And so that sets up the conflict of the movie. They broke but Nick Saban broke rule number one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. By the way, from Phil Benzer. This isn't Tombstone. This is The Godfather. And then also this, Texas and Oklahoma, have fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I know you will because you're going to make millions and millions and millions, but there was a time when the Southwest Conference was very dirty in the 80s, and you never saw really Texas hit with any of that. It was either somebody else, A&M, SMU, TCU, among others. They're both going into a backyard brawl. Different because there is an NIL, but it'll be fun to see how they manage this.
We need to get to Max, so we'll get to him in just a second. But I do want to say, in terms of Texas and OU, I don't think that they're scared about joining the SEC for 1 second. I don't think for 1 second that they won't be able to come up with the NIL money to pull certain recruits. But I do think the major difference for Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC is going to be that when they look around the room, they're going to be looking eye to eye with multiple people, whereas they've been able to walk into Arlington every year and just look their eyes down on Baylor and Tech and Oklahoma State and all these other schools. And now you're going to be walking in the room and you're going to be looking dead in the eye with folks. And that's going to be a major difference that is going to take some probably adjustment time.
Can we wait till the break? Can we go to Max? Can we do now?
No, we'll have to skip that break, but I can call Max right now.
Yeah, let's do that because I don't want to run in behind. Yeah, but I agree with you. You're right. There's
and they'll be able to throw punches and land them. Texas will be able to NIL it up, and Oklahoma will NIL it up for the right guys and all of that. But it is a different animal that they're walking into. Where it is. A&M with their backing and Alabama with their backing and Georgia with their backing and Florida's on the come up, they hope at least, and so on and so forth. So they're getting into the mud pit and better be ready to sling some mud. I know that they are, but it's going to be a lot different of a response from the new buddies that they have versus the old buddies that they could just kind of kick sand in the face of.
National writers of schools who cover the SEC, us. This has been a great less than 24 hours. Max Olson, theathletic.com. Max, is this not greatness?
I'm not hating it. I'm feeling alive today. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. So when you first heard the Saban comments, we knew. I didn't know if Jimbo was going to respond. He did. Can you think of anything similar to this at all?
No, I think when I first saw the tweet about this, I think like everybody else, especially at the age we're living in, you're like, okay, I think I need to see the video of him actually saying that, because sometimes we can do maybe sometimes a poor job transcribing news conferences and stuff like that. But man, the comments from Saban, it's A&M. Like you can't, you have to expect that they are going to come over the top on you if you try and poke them like that. And I when Jimbo Fisher, when A&M asked Jimbo Fisher was doing a press conference, I had no doubt that it would go like it did. I think Jimbo Fisher, as he showed on signing day, when we got in this topic, very similarly, he gets very defensive and he very, very proud of what they've done. And, I think he, no, there's no comparison I can think of. It was jaw dropping as you watch it, but at the same time, I wasn't surprised because we've heard him address this topic before, and I think that the tone is always very defiant.
Max, I think had Saban stopped right before he started throwing darts, we'd be talking about, well, that was a pretty, good overview of the actual issues with NIL and things that could come up. For example, I thought the example he gave of, look, somebody's going to say, I got this kid to Alabama, and then he's going to never play and transfer. That's something I'm wondering when that starts to happen, because it's going to happen a lot where somebody's going to pay $2 million to a kid. He's going to suck and he's going to leave. And then they'll be like, well, you got the $2 million out of me. But then he, instead of like hitting home that point, he then started taking shots, which is not really like him at all, at least not directly.
No, for sure. And I thought even if he had left A&M alone and just made the comment about Jackson State, you'd still be pretty shocked that Nick Saban was going there for some reason. And I think we were all. I mean, Nick Saban obviously he's gone on SiriusXM today and tried to sort of downplay this, say he shouldn't have called anyone out and all that kind of stuff. But I think you have to listen to that and wonder, like, okay, so where's this coming from? Is this, if I were an A&M fan, I would almost be kind of excited about it, because I feel like, okay, maybe he's saying this because A&M is actually, getting really good players. They're getting players that Alabama wants to get, and Nick Saban this is the only way he can think of to stand up to it, is to say they're buying all of them. I think that tells you that A&M is becoming a legitimate threat to him.
Yeah, I was going to say, Max, doesn't this somewhat empower A&M and also, Deion and Jackson State to an extent? I mean, we see John Ruiz now, the life wallet guy. He's cooking up something with Deion on Twitter, to try to pay athletes now. So it's clearly backfired. But how do you think this empowers, Deion, what he's got going at Jackson State?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've seen Deion and Travis Hunter, shoot that down and say that's not true. Who knows where the truth lies on that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's, it gets people talking about Jackson State in the offseason. That's good for Deion, for sure. I think that, I don't know. Do you guys think that this is just Nick Saban at 70, just maybe not giving a crap and saying what he thinks, or is this just a real calculated shot he was taking that really misfired?
Well, Nick, I do, or Nick, Max, I do think this about Nick Saban and guys in their 70s. I'll just give you an example. My dad turned.
Be careful.
No, look, when my dad turned 70, we used to have to remind him to put his pants on to go check the mail because at that point he was in a I don't give an F about anything. I've earned it. No. And Nick Saban, you get to that point, you're like, sometimes you got to tell him, put your pants on to check the mail.
And it could be, but he also always seems to have kind of a warning shot across the bow when he says something that might be a little edgy.
Yeah, but what is he warning? That Alabama's going to pay players? They're already doing that.
I didn't say that's what he did. I'm saying, Craig, that he always does, and this one doesn't seem to have that flavor at all.
But and Jimbo pointed out today, but for Nick Saban to be saying this and in the same breath be imploring this room of supporters that we need more help, it tells you that, I mean, I find it hard to believe, but it sounds like what he's saying is he feels like he's either kind of fearful of sort of those big numbers that the Tennessees and some of those schools have thrown out there, or the alleged $30 million for A&M's class or whatever. But it tells you that he sounds like somebody who's not sure that Alabama is at the head of the pack like they need to.
Well, and that might have been the message, and he just went blank on who could hear the message, and it wasn't just everyone who loves Alabama. It is crazy. How about they both were reprimanded, right? AD, Ross Bjork said he's going to contact Greg Sankey. He did, I guess. Maybe he did. And then both of them were reprimanded. We brought this up, Max, that the Big 12 had kind of an arrogance factor. There were some schools that thought they were better than others, and in some cases, probably they were in many ways. But there always seemed to kind of like be looking down your nose. In the SEC, they've always kind of kept that, hey, you're cheating, we're cheating, let's keep each other like out of the newspaper. But it was kind of protectionism, and they might hate each other. This is a little bit different, isn't it?
I think so. That's something that I was on my mind this morning before Jimbo Fisher sat down and went off like he did. That you're right. I think that there is for multiple decades in the SEC. I think that no matter what people were doing to get recruits in their program, like there was kind of that honor among thieves, that kind of omerta that you don't talk about it, you don't go there, and you do your thing, they do their thing, and you leave each other alone. And this seems like maybe the end of that in some ways. I don't know. I think that, and again, it's like pretty surprising because you don't see, like, I don't think you would see Nick Saban say these things about Kirby Smart. I really don't, or other folks in his league. I think that there's something about the way A&M's doing it and the way Jimbo Fisher's doing it, and maybe it's just purely that, that praise of, oh, they signed the greatest recruiting class of all time or whatever. But there's clearly something about this that Nick Saban thinks is more wrong than the way it usually goes.
I think, to me, though, the thing outside of the personal shots he took was the general idea that in some way, shape, or form, Alabama was in any way going to fall behind. And this is a year after his own quarterback signed $1 million NIL deal a week after NIL existed.
And they signed Jahmyr Gibbs, who has a chance to be a Heisman contender at running back this year. He played for Georgia Tech last year. And, the way Alabama recruits, do they need to take, all ACC running backs away from other schools? Of course they don't, but they did. And they took Jermaine Burton and they took Henry To'oTo'o. And they're going to continue to, certainly you saw what they did with Jameson Williams. Like, I think the way this is all going now, it's going to be, unless just a ton of injuries happen, like we're not going to really ever go into a year where Alabama is not, is not loaded, that they don't have, they have holes in their lineup and stuff like that. That's not how it's going to be going forward, as the portal has shown, and as the last two recruiting cycles have shown. So that's, again, it's interesting that, man, what are you afraid of? You just played for a national championship, and obviously the one in front of you is Georgia, is the one you probably should be more worried about. But again, it just feels like recognition that A&M is legitimately nipping at their heels.
How many coaches in America could be the one that fired back at him other than Jimbo Fisher? Lane Kiffin kind of like just eggs him on, needles him a little bit. But I'd be interested in how many would.
I texted a few coaches today just out of curiosity, like, hey, is there anybody out there that you dislike so much you would hold a press conference about them? You know,
Exactly.
just not that many. I mean, you know, some of these guys have beefs, but this is real. This is real rare. This is real special. That it takes a certain kind of coach to say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go do this. And look, that's also a sign of how much power and support and popularity Jimbo Fisher has in College Station.
The only thing I can think is similar, but they didn't say anything out loud, was the contentiousness that Big Ten coaches had for Urban Meyer when he first got there. And he would call, like, they kind of had this unwritten rule about, like, if this guy's committed, you don't call him. He kind of broke all those unwritten rules, but nobody came out and said, like, Urban Meyer's a jackass. They just would be like, well, we don't really do that at this school.
Well, you know, the funny one that let's not forget, there's another party in all of this that, if you're paying attention, is really funny. And that is, you know, Lane Kiffin, the instigator. I mean, Lane was the one who really started this back on signing day, talking about salary caps and stuff like that. And he does it in a way where he acts like he's joking around, but clearly, you know, he enjoys poking them. And you know, he was, if you look at his Twitter feed today, he was enjoying all of this. I think he likes, you know, he's worked for Saban, and obviously I think he likes stirring all this up. And you remember when he first was the head coach of Tennessee, he did the same thing going after Urban. I mean, I think it's there's definitely you'd say, man, SEC coaches really don't act this way usually, but I think Lane came in and, being kind of the chaos agent, the troll that he is, you know, you can see he's stirred this up a little bit.
Max, there was some stuff elsewhere outside of this little feud that was going on this week. Yeah, this week in college sports, and I'm not even talking about the big transfer portal decision that's coming up with Jordan Addison, but the elimination of championship game requirements, the scholarships, allowing teams to get past that threshold so that Kansas, for example, can sign as many players as they want to get to 85. What was the most significant to you? And while change looks good on the surface, is this just going to make it easier, some of these potential rules, for the teams that are already benefiting the most?
That's a good way to put it. I think that the championship game rule, getting rid of that made a lot of sense. It really didn't. It was such an odd rule to begin with. The origin of it just really has nothing to do with where things are at today. And so getting that stricken makes a lot of sense. And you saw the Pac-12 already act on that. I think the other conferences are kind of heading in that direction. That's why the Big 12 tapped the brakes a little bit when it came to having division talks. But I wrote about this today at The Athletic, and I think it gets lost in all the craziness today. But I do think dropping the 25 man scholarship limit for recruiting classes, which they're saying they're doing it as a waiver for 2 years, but I don't know how you can really go back after these next 2 years here. I think it's really significant. I think that we are heading more towards kind of NFL style cuts with rosters, where you're going to see the programs that kind of, it can become more normal for programs to, put 15, 20, 25 players in the transfer portal in an off season. And now they can replace all of them with as many transfers and high school signees as they want. I think that's going to get a little bit more ruthless. There's going to be some players that just, get run off. And I think that's a bad deal for a lot of folks. But, Baylor's kind of the exception to it. You obviously haven't seen Dave Aranda and his staff do that since they took over. But I think by and large, when you see these programs that are rebuilding right now, USC came out and said they ran off 10 guys this offseason just to free up more scholarships. I think we're seeing that become more commonplace. And the rules are definitely tilting in the favor of folks like these SEC coaches who, I think with them in recruiting, news always better. And if a guy hasn't played in his first year or two, then they're probably going to get run off.
And a little breaking news, Jordan Addison has picked USC as his next destination. So the rumor from the very beginning that then went multiple different directions, now official as he puts up a post on Twitter. He's heading to USC. Max, your thoughts?
Oh, man, he tweeted it?
Yeah.
You want to get off the show so you can do something with it? We will. We'll let you know.
No, no, it's cool. I'll give you one more minute. Yeah, one more minute.
Well, I might have got fooled. I'm sorry. Let's wait. I might have gotten fooled by that, but I just saw Yeah, I think the tweet might be fake, but I did see a couple, and now I'm not seeing it. So sorry for the fake out there, but there's momentum.
Nope, it's real. He's going to USC.
Okay, cool. There you go.
Okay, good. All right, Craig, you were right.
Yep.
You were right. Max, thanks, buddy. We know you got to get onto that because you are the transfer portal king, not Lane Kiffin. Not Lane Kiffin. It's you. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, see, that
Paul?
fast. He's that fast.
Yeah,
The reason why I felt like I got faked out is because Jordan Addison doesn't have a blue check on Twitter, and his name's just ESPN Jordan,
It is,
which it just doesn't look like. But then I see now business inquiries, so that's why I feel like I got faked out. So I fumbled that, but Jordan Addison's heading to USC. We now got word on that.
Of all the fake Twitter accounts, it's the Rappaport one that always seemed to get me the most. And then I had somebody that's an NFL writer one time telling me, just don't tweet anything he says. And he's actually pretty damn good at what he's doing right now. Greg Sankey, this is from the SEC commissioner. The membership of the SEC has established expectations for conduct and sportsmanship that were not met last night nor today. A hallmark of the SEC is intense competition within an environment of collaboration. Yeah, we know that part. Public criticism of any kind does not resolve issues.
And Jordan Addison, meanwhile, and his commitment, the last few weeks have been very difficult. I struggle with my decision as to whether I should exercise my right to enter the portal. Student athletes have not always had that opportunity, and I made that choice. I am and will always be grateful to the University of Pittsburgh, to Coach Narduzzi, all my coaches past and present, the faculty, the fans, supporters, but especially to all my teammates. I love them. Winning an ACC championship is ours forever. Those true friendships will last. A part of me will always be H2P. I have now carefully considered the advice of my family and close friends and fully weighed both the risks and benefits associated with my decision. I also respect that others may make a different choice, but for me, I will continue my full development as a student athlete by enrolling at USC. Much love, always, J.A.
So the Biletnikoff Award winner at Pittsburgh chooses Southern Cal, which was kind of a connection from the beginning when you saw that maybe neighborhood or close by, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and with Caleb Williams as well.
But him ending up at USC does make you wonder how true the rumors were from the very beginning.
Probably very.
And then all of a sudden everybody jumped on that, and it's like, let's just slow down a little bit here and just kind of take it a little easy. And then he's interested in Texas and visiting them, and then whoever else, Alabama was rumored at one point. Oh, who's that? Alabama was rumored to be in the fray. Were they just going to get him for free, I guess? Was that just a...
But, Nick Saban did what politicians do. Tony Altomare actually texted me earlier and said and gave a great comparison on this. Is he went in front of his biggest donors and said, "Dear God, if you let the competition do this, then we're not going to be able to keep up." And it was a panic thing, Oh, if you let this party win, then nothing good will ever happen to you again for the rest of your life. It'll all be bad.
And here comes the money.
And then we got to, I think about, oh, brother, where art there? Oh, we got to keep up with that competition.
Here comes the floodgates of money. And that's why that could have been him, although a lot of times, again, when he talked about the spread or he talked about NIL or he talked about the transfer portal, I always thought that perhaps there was a message there. This one here was a message to his own boosters, and yet he let it out throughout the entire country.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at a few minutes ago. Was I see all these people talking about it's a warning shot, it's a warning shot. What is he warning everybody of? That they're going to pay more money? That they're going to be more in the transfer portal? So what? I mean, what? Oh, my God, is Alabama going to win national title still? I mean, of course they are. So warn away.
As long as he's there.
Yeah, but warn away, it doesn't change anything. You've already been the top dog the entire time. You've already been getting all the best recruits. You've already been playing for all the titles. So warning that you're just going to do more of whatever it took to get there is just, okay, so we'll just keep seeing Bama in the championship game. The only difference is now that Kirby Smart and Jimbo Fisher and Steve Sarkisian and all these guys, they can all do it too.
One of the things he did say recently on top of what he said just recently was, there used to be parity in college football. Coming from a guy that's won 6 national titles and 5 of them at Alabama, where's the parity?
There hasn't been.
Now, he made points about what he meant by the parity, various things, and we had that audio. But no, Alabama's been ahead of the curve, and I like Saban. Jimbo's kind of as part of me, I like him too. I mean, I do. I love this. I love the fact that on May the 19th, we have this street fight, backyard brawl, Tombstone, whatever, the Godfathers, and it's great.
I think there is parity in college football. It's just not in the SEC.
Yeah.
Utah can go win the Pac-12. Baylor can win the Big 12 and beat Oklahoma State for it. And
anybody can win the ACC.
Anybody can win the ACC. I mean, but in the SEC, it's pretty much, there's like 5 teams that have a chance. And it's Georgia, it's Bama, it's A&M now here recently, and a couple of others. And maybe now Florida and Tennessee get back into the thick of things. But I do think there is parity in college football, although we're driving towards having less and less of it across the country. But there is not parity in the SEC.
But isn't that the case? The same teams pretty much win the Pac-12 or the Big 12 or the Big 10. And they just have maybe 1 or 2 others that are just.
You see USC win the Pac-12 lately?
But Oklahoma won the Big 12. It's like 15 out of 20 years or whatever it was.
Yeah, but Baylor won it this year.
No, I know.
I mean, that's
Oklahoma
parity.
Didn't win it every year. Here's one of the things Joey
Texas
brought up.
Isn't winning it every year.
No.
That's what I'm saying is if this were the SEC, it would be Texas and OU pretty much every single year. And the Pac-12 would be USC and Oregon pretty much every single year. But it is Oregon, but it's also Utah.
Yeah.
And it's Oklahoma, but it's Baylor. Like, there's some different. South Carolina's not jumping up and winning the SEC anytime soon.
In fact, Baylor 3 times in 9 years. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here's a note on what Jimbo Fisher also said, that he knows kind of like almost where the bodies are buried. That's almost was a threat. Not a threat, but it was almost a threat. And Joey put this up there. It turns out Jimbo knows something about Saban's, but did stay quiet until now. It's almost, he goes, is that guilt by association? They work together at LSU. Is Jimbo Fisher completely flawless in any of this?
No, his fingerprints are on some shovels. I guarantee you.
But you almost like when he said that, listen, I know, and I get it. I've heard about Saban left Michigan State for LSU. None of his coaches went with him. I get all that. I'm sure there's probably some that work for Bill Belichick that would never want to work for him again, or were glad when they got an opportunity somewhere else. But that's kind of a guy that's driven the way he is. It's probably not easy to work for him. It's not easy to work for a lot of people, including probably me. Jack, don't even comment on that. Also, if he knows that, say it. Let's go. I mean, gloves are off. Go. No, come on.
No, I agree that he should. If you're going to, threaten to say it, then say it. But I think he probably realizes by saying it, a lot more people are going to get caught up in that than just Nick Saban. And maybe some people that he's associated with, if not himself. I think that it was an empty threat ultimately. But, yeah, I agree. Follow through with that. Tell us what you're supposed to be, referring to. But I think we get the gist of it. And doing that now, if he had gone that way, like, I know for a fact that Alabama, blah, 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 that would have been very interesting.
That would have been like it would have taken it to DEFCON 5. Paul, again, at the end of the show today, we'll have his top 5, and it will be the SEC and characters. Is that right?
Yeah. Best I've seen of people responded on Twitter. I'm a little different than everybody else, but I can justify it all.
All right.
And I'm willing to say that, like, there's room for interpretation, but just my thoughts on it. Plus, you have to do it, you have to, because Tombstone's a very much black hat, white hat kind of a movie. So you kind of have to paint people in categories, which maybe The Godfather was a better comparison, because in The Godfather, you're just trying to pick a family that's doing the least bad.
Yeah.
Like The Sopranos. Of course you watch it again, and maybe you don't think of it the same way, but in The Sopranos, you always kind of rooted for Tony Soprano because he was the main character, even though he was an awful human being. He was the least awful. I don't know.
You're right. He was the least awful of all the bad. There is a thread in the Sikkim 365 Premium Insider section. Since the SEC is now Tombstone the movie, give us your matchups. And, Paul, I have that thread. You should go to it as well, because you're going to have your top 5. And I know some that have pretty good ideas, and some of them are different of what they're talking about. Mickey Spagnola will join us here in the next segment. Also today, Craig's Off the Radar. We had a guest that was going to discuss Brigham Young a little after 5 today. We moved that to Monday. And I have a national college football writer on Monday as well, before I even knew anything about Saban-Fisher and NIL. So that's coming Monday. We still have, of course, even today and tomorrow. And then we also will have Art Strickland from Southern Hills in Tulsa, the PGA Championship golf, a little bit after 5:30 today, as McElroy put up the 5-under early, still leads by a shot over Zalatoris, and also former Texas golfer Hoagie. This is Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans. My brother Robert, I'm going to go see my brothers the first weekend in June. We were talking the other day about what we're going to do besides just have a great time. He loves to smoke cigars. Absolutely loves it. Said his humidor is filled with cigars that he's going to bring to where we meet on the east coast of Florida. I cannot wait for that weekend, no question about it. And it brings me up to, of course, what Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans has as well in Waco, just off the Valley Mills in the Townwest Shopping Center. They have a 48-foot walk-in humidor with all of the great brands of cigars, including Padron, the 1964, and on top of that, Cohiba, Macanudo, Ashton, Artur Fuente, Romeo and Julieta, Rocky Patel, CAO, Gurkha, on and on, all the great names and brands of cigars. They have them in their 48-foot walk-in humidor. And if you struggle with night falling asleep, for whatever reason, sometimes it might be just a lot on your mind. Sometimes it could be personal, could be finances, could be just you don't feel good. And you have way too much to do the next day and you can't sleep. They have this product, a CBD product called Vita Dreams. It will help you slowly, but very methodically go to sleep and maybe save yourself 30, 45 minutes to an hour of just can't fall asleep. It can help you out. Vita Dreams, tell Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne Smokey sent you. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center, Valley Mills in Waco.
At Allen Samuels, we're bringing great savings during the Memorial Day sales event on the award-winning year-after-year new 2022 Ram 1500. Get up to $7,000 in total values or $2,500 bonus cash and 0% for 60 months. These great deals are for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingram with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is a great time for your business.
Exactly. And one other thing we do that a lot of people don't know is we buy jewelry, heirloom pieces, gold, silver bars, gold bullion, watches, anything you may have that you want to. If you don't want to use it and remake something like I did in a state yesterday and I looked at 35 pieces, well, they're probably going to sell me back 30 because it's something they're not going to wear, nothing to use. So if you're looking to get a few bucks or to sell something or something you just don't wear anymore, I make my wife go through her jewelry box about every 6 to 8 months, and the things that she doesn't wear on a daily basis, this sounds horrible, but I take away from her, and then I'll put in my estate counter, but then that gives me the chance to rebuy her something new moving forward. Instead of looking down 20 years down the road and you have 300 pieces of jewelry, it's something to refresh and make her buy something new along the way.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
And Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports coming up. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. The NFL released this list. Not sure if you saw it or not. It's pretty cool. Announced the names of the minority coach GM candidates who will attend next week's owners meeting to network with team owners. Each team was asked to nominate 2 candidates, one from coaching and one from the front office. Mickey Spagnola joins us, Sikkim 365 Radio. You know, they've tried the Rooney Rule at times. Maybe it was somewhat successful, but it was always like a way around that as well. How about this? I just saw this that Dan Graziano put this up, that minority candidates, GM candidates from each staff and also front office. How much do you think, Mickey, this can help a little bit?
I think you remember John Wooten, right?
Yep.
And he used to be a part of that Fitz-Pollard alliance. And he would always tell me the key thing to help minority candidates get jobs is just to get their names out there, to let people know who's out there, you know, without them having to do the research. And he always maintained just getting the names out there is a huge step in the right direction. And I would imagine something like this we'll be able to do that, to get guys' names out there in the candidate pool. And the more names you have out there, the better opportunity these minority candidates will have to land some of these jobs.
Mickey, did you glean anything from the Underwear Olympics last week about how maybe they might want to use some guys from what you're able to see? It's hard in rookie minicamp, I know, but I'm always curious to see if, you know, something interesting happened with, hey, they lined this guy up here, and that could be something they do come training camp.
Well, they lined Tyler Smith up at left guard. And now, again, it's just the draft choices, 20 undrafted guys, about 7 guys from last year who are one-year guys but didn't play, and then the guys they invited in for workouts. But, they kept saying after the draft that he was a left offensive lineman and they would train him both at tackle and guard. Well, he jumped right in at guard. So I think that one was pretty obvious. I didn't think anything else was significantly out of the ordinary. And again, as you said, their helmets, jerseys, shorts, no contact. If they're out there an hour and a half, it was mostly individual drills and just kind of lining up in their groups. And then there was some 11 on 11, but no contact, just kind of walking through things. But yeah, and I think the other thing that was obvious, and they kept saying it about their 3rd round draft choice, Jalen Tolbert, the wide receiver, that they felt like that he can play all 3 receiver positions, and looked like just from how they were lining up in some of the in some of the team drills that he was at more than just a slot or just one of the 2 outside wide receivers. So you can see sort of things like that. But other than, if anybody catches your eye, it's sort of like they look the part, right? It's like you see a guy and you go, okay, I see why they drafted him. You can see why they drafted Sam Williams in the 2nd round. You can see why they took a chance on the linebacker from LSU, Damone Clark, who's coming off the vertebrae fusion surgery after the combine. I mean, when he first went out there, and I didn't have the roster with me, and I saw this guy out there, 53, and I go, my gosh, who's that? And it's Damone Clark, 6'3", 239, and boy, he looked like a middle linebacker to me. Now, obviously, this is probably going to be a redshirt year. He's going to be rehabbing at least another 4 months or so before, we didn't think about putting him into contact after the vertebrae fusion surgery. But I see why they took a chance on him.
Mickey, last week we were awaiting the NFL scheduling announcement and got that after we talked to you, opening up with the Buccaneers in prime time, Bengals right after that, and there's that nice little break around Thanksgiving. What were your immediate or overall general thoughts on the Cowboys schedule?
I thought it was a very fair schedule, very fair of how the games were spread out. I know everybody's concentrating on the opening 2 games, but at least they're home. And if you think back to the season opener last year at Tampa Bay, Cowboys should have won that game. They squandered about 3 or 4 chances to score points, missing field goals, having to kick field goals inside the 5-yard line, and then losing by just the 2 points on a walk-off field goal as time expired. So I don't think that, they should have to back off of having to play Tampa Bay. And, I wonder what Cincinnati, I know Cincinnati went to the Super Bowl, right? But they finished 10-7. Now they got better as the season went along, but I wonder if they're saying, well, shoot, we got to go on the road and play a team that was 12-5 last year. But other than that, I think it was fair. There wasn't any stretches where there was like 3 road games in a row. They finally got away from the Thanksgiving grind where the last couple of years they were playing Sunday, Thursday. This year, it's on the road Sunday before the Thanksgiving game. I believe it's at Minnesota, if I remember correctly. Then you play Thanksgiving, and then you don't play again for the 10, 12 days. So they don't have to play the following Thursday. And even when they do play their regular season Thursday game, everybody has to play one. They're playing on a Thursday before Christmas, but they're coming off, and this is off the top of my head, I don't have the schedule here. They're playing the Thursday after Christmas, but they're coming off playing on a Saturday, Christmas Eve, and then they play the following Thursday. So there's actually an extra day between games. So you're not doing like they did last year, playing 3 games in a span of 13 days.
Mickey, you are a Missouri graduate. They are now a part of the SEC. What were your thoughts as a Mizzou fan, the cat fight with Nick Saban and Jimbo Fisher?
I want to go to the SEC meetings.
You could probably get a credential.
When do it's soon, isn't it? It's usually in maybe June or so.
I think actually there's sometimes
they have
earlier.
Spring meetings coming up, like their actual like the conference meetings before the media days that are in late June, early July.
July 18th through the 21st.
Yes, 18th through the 21st. Just a little bit right after the Big 12 will be in Arlington the 13th and 14th of July.
And that'll be after the Cowboys finish their veteran mini camp. So I'm available. If you need a stringer, I'd love to go. That is going to be unbelievable. I mean, what do you think the topic conversation is going to be when they have each coach do their interviews, right?
Yep.
Here's the deal. And there's some truth in what Saban said, but I'm sure they were doing it too, right? So, this whole thing, we've legalized what SMU got the death penalty for in 1987, right? Paying players. Well, you just found what became a legal way to pay players, and no one's telling me that they sign a recruit without telling them, well, we've got this car dealership that wants to pay somebody such and such money, and that just could be you, right? That's going on. And that's why this NIL thing, they're not going to be able to put the genie back in the bottle. And that's what recruiting is going to turn out to. And whoever has big bucks, then the donors, instead of donating money to this or that, they're saying, okay, I'm going to donate money to the quarterback, or I'm going to donate money to this running back. That's what's going to happen. And they're about to ruin college football, in my opinion.
Mickey, thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Can't wait till you cover that for us. We'll get you a credential. Let me know.
I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest,
Yes,
too,
sir.
by the way.
Glad we did. Mickey Spagnola, Mizzou grad. By the way, Chris on the chat room's a big Missouri fan with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Let's see. From Archer Quick. So we really think SEC schools haven't been paying players. Now it's out. No, we know. We never have. We're not naive. From Charles Pyle, the way college football is going, there will be a super league. The rest will become a separate league with their own championship.
Yeah, and it's a complicated topic, not in terms of just the what's allowed and what's not. I mean, I think that should be pretty clear, and it's pretty clear that not everybody's abiding by that. But it is a weird thing to talk about because you have people who only want to hear their side of it. And so there's the people that are firmly entrenched in this is going to ruin college football. And then there's the people firmly entrenched in this is the greatest thing ever. And why not to every little, suggested rule change. And I think that there is a middle ground that you can be in. Nobody believes in middle grounds anymore, though. You know what I mean? You have to pick a side.
Yep.
Well, screw you. I'm in the middle ground. I think that it's great for the players. I think it's great for their families. I think it's great for their futures and presence. And there should not be a cap. There should not be, a certain amount. You can't pay anybody more. No, you should be able to pay them however much you want to. But I also do think that there are probably unintended consequences that come from this that people just dismiss as though, oh, well, who cares? Or they just don't even acknowledge it. And it's fair to have questions about what this does do ultimately to other sports. And, if you don't want to respect anybody's opinion, you don't want to respect mine, that's fine. You don't want to respect Nick Saban's, that's fine. But I think most people respect Dave Aranda's opinion, right? I mean, he's a pretty thoughtful guy who's probably spent some time thinking about this. And I look forward to media days because I do want to ask him more about NIL. But he's raised the issue of just the team chemistry part of it. And so there are things like that. Now, is that a reason to do away with NIL? Not at all. But let's not act like there's not some offshoots that could be negatives. Now, does that ruin college football? No. But you can have your gripes, and it's not necessarily making you an anti-NIL guy or whatever. But people just have to put others in camps of you have one little disagreement about maybe the way things done. Oh, you don't want players to get paid. No, that's not the case. So it's hard to even have the conversation sometimes because everybody's so busy yelling at each other and taking their stance with their team that, you don't ever get to the constructive actual conversation of, okay, here are the benefits, here are also the negatives. How do we eliminate as many negatives as we possibly can? And I don't think most people are really worrying too much about the negatives right now. It kind of sounds like college football. We'll deal with that when the time comes.
Too many decisions seem to be made, and I can't give you many examples. And they're made so quickly these days, and of course there's some that take forever, but they're made so quickly that I think sometimes they don't stop for a second and go, okay, what can go wrong here? What are the problems here? Who are the leaders who are and we've discussed, what can go wrong here? I'm going to walk across the street. Before you do, you look at what possibly could go wrong, right?
Well, I mean, that's a great example. So, okay, I don't think most people who are in the middle of this want complete deregulation or a complete free-for-all for the athletes. We just want some traffic lights on the road.
I don't want my star quarterback who just signed with me a few months ago to then get picked off by Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
Exactly.
That's what I would like to not see. That's it.
All we're asking is traffic lights on the road. And where I disagree with Mickey is this is not what's ruining college football. What's ruined college football, or has the potential to ruin it, is years and years and years of unchecked greed by a certain group of it and not willing to accept that eventually world history shows us that when there are haves and have-nots, and you can ask the question of, okay, you getting this much money, and I'm reading this in the paper, but you can't tell us, you can't give us a little or let us make our own money. Why is that fair? And going, because it is. That was their argument for the longest time.
Because we can.
Because it is and because we can. That was their argument. They're reaping what they sowed right now, but now we need to do something in the world that we're not very good at, which is finding a compromise to make this work. But the problem with it is, well, the athletes were screwed for so long, so they don't need to do anything to do that. Well, no, I mean, yeah, that's probably true that there's not much you need to do, but you need a little bit, again, you just need to paint some lines on the highway. That's all you got to do. it's not really as hard as you're making it, or you have made it.
If you want to pay Caleb Williams $100 million, pay him $100 million. Like I said, I don't want to cap. There should be no limitations on what guys are able to do. But if a guy signs up, I just feel like you should be able to look forward to watching that guy play for your team and not be sitting there the whole time worried to death that some bigger school is going to come and pull him away. And then everybody's argument to that is, well, these players deserve it. And yes, you're right. It has nothing to do with what the players do or do not deserve, which people throw disingenuously into the argument to kind of muddy the waters sometimes. It's just simply I don't even know how to put it. It's just simply a matter of, hey, I root for this college football team. I would like to know that, yeah, he can make as much money as possible, but I would also like to know that, hey, he's actually going to be on the football team, and I can invest in watching this guy grow and be a part of the team like we were able to do with Jaron McVay and Jalen Petrie and Terrell Bernard and all these guys. Now, if Terrell Bernard got an offer from Tennessee to go play for $4 million. Would I have blamed him for 1 second if he had gone and taken that? Absolutely not. He deserves that money if that's what somebody's willing to pay for him. But I think it kind of sucks that he is on a team and then Tennessee, for example, could sit there and just pluck him away because, hey, they want an extra linebacker. That's all I'm saying. That's where I don't like the tampering aspect of it or the just plucking guys from others' rosters, which ultimately is just only beneficial to the same schools that basically every rule that's made is beneficial to. So, yeah, I mean, you might not want a Super League, but everything they're doing is trying to push it in that direction, it almost feels like.
All right, Baylor, great stuff, guys. Thank you for all the discussion. We're not nearly done. Craig's off the radar. Baylor men's basketball, the Big East and the Big 12 men's basketball battle, what they have. Baylor's going to play Marquette on the road in late November. Shaka Smart and Scott Drew will meet again on opposite sides or on opposite benches. That's coming up November the 29th. Also an update on the on Baylor tennis at the NCAA tournament. They're in the round of the Elite Eight. They lost the doubles point again. They are right now up in 3 matches, singles matches, and they're up in 4 singles matches, down in 2. They obviously have to win 4 of the 6 singles matches to advance to the semifinals.
And before inevitably get the comment about, well, coaches are allowed to move whenever they want to, yes, they're also under contract. So if the solution is to put players under contract, which I know changes the whole landscape, then that's what I feel like you have to do to protect certain programs to be able to keep their players. Jordan Addison, good for him in USC. He won a Biletnikoff for Pittsburgh. I mean, that's major. He helped them in so many different ways. He doesn't owe them anything. They don't owe him anything. So that's all, fair. But, yeah, I just don't like the idea of all the tampering that's going on and the fact that we've heard now multiple coaches go, well, the most time we're spending now is having to re-recruit our rosters. I don't feel like you should have to do that. I don't feel like you should be able to just not feel like, oh, they're on campus now, we don't have to treat them a certain time. No, I mean, it should be a great relationship all the way through, but I don't think you should have to sign a guy and a year later you're worried about you have to basically go through the entire recruiting process over again because your division rival suddenly wants to offer him $2 million. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is the Roger Dodger. If some 366 Sports offered you twice as much money, would you leave?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the freaking question? What does that have to do with what we're talking about? It's like, well, you're against players getting paid. No, we're not. We've made that very clear. How many times do we have to say it every damn time we talk about it? Craig's off the radar is next. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Dr. Steve Childress, Stonewood Dental. Texas licensed. Baylor College of Dentistry. Air Force Major Triage Officer. Served in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. 31 years as a dentist, 21 years at Stonewood Dental, hometown of Waco, Texas. That's my dentist. I'm proud of him. I'm proud to be someone who is a customer at Stonewood Dental. They have done work on me, and it has been amazing work. At times, even after office hours, he has met me because I was in such pain I didn't think I could wait through the weekend, one time on a Friday evening and one time on a Friday morning when dentists and their staff want to get out for the weekend after, of course, their regular day. I got there early on Friday morning when they were packed, and he saw me, and he fixed me. That is incredible. That's incredible customer service. And it's because I mentioned what he did, serve the Desert Shield and Desert Storm. He has seen pretty much everything. He knows. His experience is phenomenal, incredible man, and they help you with your insurance, and they have a huge staff of dentists, hygienists, and everything else you need. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Cars priced right both day and night. At Richard Car was built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas, cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas, count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar here on Sikkim 365 Sports. Got a few stories today, not a whole lot going on, because most of what's going on we've already been discussing. It's Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban and Deion Sanders and now Jordan Addison as well with his commitment to USC. But I know Roger took some offense or whatever to what I was saying about players and just would like to be able to know that I'm going to root for a guy for 2 or 3 years when he commits and not worry that a year after he commits that he's going to be, going elsewhere to a team that they might be playing on the schedule. And brought up free market and all that. I just said, which you may have just glossed over or missed, that if that means that you have to do a collective bargaining agreement, which you know who that would benefit, right? Which would benefit the players even further, then that's what I feel like you should do. so long as that is the way that you are able to know that, like, hey, Terrell Bernard's a Baylor football player for at least 2 or 3 years. He's not going to have a great year, and then Texas comes calling. That was my entire point. So
Roger
if that was
also
missed, then I guess it was missed.
Roger's overly sensitive because he's a USC fan that the word tampering might have been brought up. We didn't say that they were the only ones that might be
yeah,
doing
bro,
that.
nobody singled out USC.
God,
How
you
paranoid.
listen to us?
Yeah, I did not single out USC, and I don't think anybody can deny that there's some tampering going on. So if me fighting for a collective bargaining agreement for players just so there's some stability is somehow anti-player or anti-free market, please explain that. So thank you, though, for the input, and thank you for listening. All right, so on to a few stories around the world of sports that, again, we might not otherwise get to. A little note in baseball, Max Scherzer of the Mets sidelined 6 to 8 weeks with an oblique strain, so one of their better players saw a moderate to high-grade internal oblique strain. General timeline for that injury is 6 to 8 weeks. He's 37 years old at this point.
Who?
Max Scherzer.
Wow.
So you kind of wonder if he's starting to break down a little bit, and we might be seeing the end of the road of one of the greats of all time. But that's a pretty lengthy absence.
One of my great laments as a baseball fan is that he never pitched for the Red Sox. I wanted him so bad because I love how intense he is.
Yep.
I loved his reaction to the fourth time being checked for sticky stuff last year, and the way that he was. I've always been entertained by Max Scherzer, and I remember when he's pitching in college. I loved watching him pitch in college. He was fun all the way around. So I hope not, and not that I have any love for the Mets, but I was kind of interested to see if they could, with all the money they spent, they could put something together and make a legit run this year.
Very early.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Red Sox, this happened a couple of days ago, but it was interesting nonetheless when you look at the historic 5 home runs that were hit against them the other night. Paul, we did not get to that, but Tuesday, Red Sox were up 1-0 in the second inning. They were at home against the Astros, and they ended up not doing much else after that. A 5 home run outburst at Fenway Park for the Houston Astros. A very ridiculous inning of baseball for the Red Sox, the home team. But great for the Astros. I just was curious on your thoughts about how that went the other night.
Look, Nathan Eovaldi is the guy you get for the playoffs. That's when he's the best. He's fantastic in the playoffs. If he's good enough in the regular season, I'm fine. But I was watching the box score here when that happened the other day, and I was like, oh, man. I'm very curious about what the organizational plan is for the Red Sox because they let Mookie Betts walk. They're about to let Xander Bogaerts, who's one of their 2 best players right now. And, I mean, you're going to split hairs between him and Rafael Devers when who's the best player. But one of their 2 best players right now, they're going to let him get to free agency with Scott Boras as his agent and then hope to re-sign him, or they're going to just throw their hands up like they did about Mookie Betts. I don't really know what their plan is here. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, that's you're talking about the Red Sox?
Yeah, I mean,
apparently their plan is to give up 5 home runs.
Yeah, and so that's where they're at right now. So they're gonna do that.
A little other history was made in the minor leagues. The San Antonio Missions threw 2 no-hitters in less than a week's time. Coming up on Sunday, they had a 9-inning no-no. That was accomplished by Lake Bakar, and I might be getting some of these names wrong, Moises Lugo, Carlos Bellin, and Kevin Kopps. And then they turned around just a couple of days later, second time in 3 games. The Missions, 4 pitchers combined in that second one. Ryan Lilly, Michael Baez, Osvaldo Hernandez, and Mason Fox in a 4-0 win just yesterday. So that's pretty cool to see. Just a little note, but 2 no-hitters in 3 games for the San Antonio Missions is not something that you see all that often. And again, the title of the segment is Off the Radar, so I feel like that is very much off of the radar there.
Yep.
Also, elsewhere, the Yankees. Interesting story with one of their prospects by the name of Jake Sanford. He was released by the team after he was allegedly stealing from his teammates. He was a 2019 third-round pick. He was cut last Thursday. Apparently, he was stealing from minor league teammates and then scamming people for some of the stuff he was stealing online. He's a 24-year-old outfielder. They did an investigation. He stole a bunch of equipment, then would turn around and try to sell it online. Additionally, he also accepted money from buyers for the equipment and then failed to deliver the products. So just scamming people, stealing from teammates, and then scamming people that you're trying to sell the actual equipment to. And apparently this could or could not, but there's some references. This could be related to some gambling debts for young Jake Sanford. So he's cut. His reputation is a little bit diminished now as well. And the Yankees have dealt with this before. Remember Mariano Rivera's family member? He had a prospect in the Yankees organization, a cousin of Mariano Rivera's. He had signed with the Yankees, and then back in 2002 during spring training, he stole Derek Jeter's glove and bat, and they found out about that, and that got him the quick boot. So a bit of a long stretch between incidents, but not a good look. And what are you even thinking? What are you even thinking?
One of the ways the guy got caught was one of his teammates. A fan handed him his own bat back for him to sign, and he's like, "How did you get this?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, I bought it online." And he goes, "Well, how did you buy it online? This is my bat." And then the fans just kind of saying, "Well, I just kind of assumed that people were selling them," and then they kind of trace it back to, "Oh, well." This guy is.
And it's a kid, and it's someone in the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that from what I was reading that he had much of a chance of being, a big-time major leaguer by any means, so it probably made it a lot easier to go ahead and just throw him out of the facilities and whatnot, but just an incredibly stupid thing to do, and that's why you're no longer a member of the New York Yankees organization. Tonight in the NHL, got a couple of game twos. The Tampa Bay Lightning at the Florida Panthers in a Sunshine State matchup. Lightning, the road team, they are up 1-0. Then the Blues at the Avalanche, game 2 in Denver. Colorado, the home team in this one, already leads that series 1-0. So I got that in the NHL later on tonight, and tonight in the NBA. Just one game because, of course, we've whittled it down now to where we're in the conference finals, and it'll be the Celtics at the Heat game 2. Miami, the home team, leads that series 1-0. Tomorrow night will be Dallas Golden State game 2, and not feeling great after game 1. But hey, I wasn't feeling great about the Suns at one point. But the Warriors are a different animal. This is not the Phoenix Suns.
They are still very careless with the basketball, but they're so explosive. Dallas's defense is usually better. 11 of 49 at shooting threes, and they didn't attack the basket, and sometimes because Golden State wouldn't let them. But, yeah, they were down 2-0 to Phoenix. Had no chance in either one of those games, although they were kind of it's early, very early.
Just watching Golden State a little bit in the playoffs, and this might be very reductive, but Draymond, Steph Curry's the best player on the floor. Obviously, I mean, he's an all-time great, maybe the greatest shooter that's ever lived.
Even when Luka's on the floor?
He's better than Luka.
Yeah, he's better than Luka. And because Steph might be the greatest pure shooter that's ever lived. But Draymond Green is the key to that whole thing.
Oh, he's fantastic.
And so when Draymond, they lost the game to Memphis when Draymond got run out of there in a bogus fashion. So if you can capitalize the most when Draymond's off the floor for whatever reason, that's how you win those games. But
get him distracted. Kind of somehow get in his, not in his head.
But he's getting better at that.
Because he's matured, Paul.
Yeah.
He's mature. He's a fantastic guy to watch. I love watching guys like him play. He's
Draymond?
not the best. Yeah, he's not the
and he's doing a great job.
He just does a lot of things.
He's trying to do, not trying to, but he's very invested in his podcast and making a push for new media, as they call it, or some people call it new media, the non-traditional route of people being a part of the media. And he's really leading that charge and doing a great job. And a lot of people listen to him, and he's, been good on various guest gigs that he's done. So, yeah, I mean, not everybody wants to hear him, but, I think that he is worth listening to, and he's doing a good job on and off the court with his career. So, kudos to him. And then this is very off the radar, but the Big Three is going to be returning to a tour model. You might remember this is that basketball league. Ice Cube's kind of the face of the whole thing. A 12-week season will be held in Chicago and Dallas, and they will also have their first All-Star game in the Bahamas. So really going tropical there with the All-Star game, and that'll be interesting. The 2 weeks of postseason action once the season concludes in August per Yahoo, and they have not set any dates and locations just yet, but those will be on CBS and also Paramount Plus. They will have a bunch of hours of coverage. They'll have their draft here in about a week in Los Angeles. And the Power, which is coached by Nancy Lieberman, will have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. So this half-court basketball, founded by Ice Cube, and they've now gone the whole NFT route, and they've got fans are like part of the ownership through buying NFTs and things like that. But the full schedule's out there for those interested in the very off-the-radar league. But they're getting underway. They'll be in Chicago and Dallas and a few other places as well with some events. So there's a few things that are off the radar.
Well, I want to mention the Yankees for a second. Chris Woodward, the Rangers manager, took a shot at Yankee Stadium because of right field line and said it was kind of a Little League park. And the Yankees got, oh, my God, just like you peed on Jesus or something, right? So then they're in Camden Yards. Now, not even a lot of the Oriole players like this new left field, kind of Fenway Parkish type look, right? But they can criticize that park. Mm-hmm. But don't criticize the Mecca, right? Come on.
Okay. I would encourage anybody.
And even an Orioles star said he didn't like his own stadium.
Yeah, even a Yankees fan, but particularly a Yankees fan, go to Yankees Stadium in person and walk down and stand, because they'll let you, stand on the first base side and look at the right field line and tell me it doesn't feel like it's 284 feet away.
Yeah, it's like a park around the corner. Yeah.
Imagine getting upset by that. Yeah. Who cares?
But then all of a sudden they go somewhere else and it's, the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, my God. All right, their blank doesn't stink. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines to you, but here's the topic. It can be college football, but it's going to be about Saban and Fisher and the NIL, and that's it. But we want to get you a chance. We want to give you a bunch of you going crazy on the chat room. We appreciate it. Here's the number, 254-339-1122. Phone lines are open in a couple of seconds for you in the next segment on Sick on 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now over at Richard Carr. Of course, as always, and as they have been for over 20 years, they are the people that you can count on, and they are the people that will give you great customer service as well. I guess I'm about 2 weeks away now from bringing my car over to Richard Carr to get it fixed after it had some debris fly up and knock a piece of plastic chunk out of the side of my vehicle. So I'm going to have to go get that fixed up. And I was just there a couple months ago. Road rage, guy ran into the side of me and got that all fixed up nice and clean. And then they had this incident like a month later. So I'm going back, but I know that they're going to take care of it and they're going to take care of me. And when I get back in my car, I won't even realize that there was a problem in the first place. But if you're looking for a new car or truck, well, they are arriving weekly at Richard Carr. You can call the dealership or go online to see their current inventory. If you show up at the dealership, you can buy or build your perfect vehicle with all their great customer service. They'll help you out in any way, shape, or form that they can. You can also, if you're looking to get something a bit new that's maybe not on the lot right now, get your name on that inbound vehicle list. And what that does is that puts you in line, basically. It reserves your spot for a brand new Buick, GMC, or Cadillac before anyone else. But if you are looking to get into a car and drive away today, well, it's a little bit too late for that, being past 5 o'clock Central. But tomorrow, you need to get a car. You need to get one as soon as possible. Well, they've got dozens of quality pre-owned cars and trucks. All of them have gone through a 172-point inspection, so you can drive them with peace of mind. And having driven a piece of junk for a really long time, getting into a new car eventually, I mean, that peace of mind that I had is just... it's amazing the world of difference that it makes when you're out on the roads, and every day when you wake up, you go to your car and you don't have to worry about it not starting or whatever other issues that may be going on. It takes a big load and a big weight off your shoulders. So if you need something today, again, check out their quality pre-owned cars and trucks. They will pay top dollar on your trade with dozens of lending options. They will say yes to loans when others say no. So again, go online or come by the dealership to check that out as soon as possible. They've been serving Waco for over 23 years. And offering award-winning service the entire time for their collision and service center, which, again, I can vouch for. They are a dealer you can count on for superior service for the life of your car. So, trust the good local people you can count on. Richard Carr, run by proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show, whether necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
A couple of things, Jimbo. First of all, have you had any contact with Nick since?
No. He's called.
You just didn't take the call?
Not going to. We're done.
And
he shows you who he is.
And then I just wanted to.
He's the greatest ever, huh?
And then I just wanted.
You got all the advantages. It's easy.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
If you are, chat room, you've texted us. If you want to actually get on the show and be a part of it by calling us up, it's open right now in this segment until around 5:25 or so. Art Strickland will join us from Southern Hills in Tulsa as the PGA Championship first round is winding down. Most of the low scores posted earlier today, including the leader, Rory McIlroy. Tiger at one point was 2 under, finished 4 over, struggling. Spieth 2 over. He grinded to get to that point. 254-339-1122, the number to call. And a lot of it is on what Saban and Fisher. I love this. We would have had hopefully a good show for you, but you guys we can discuss this for days, weeks, months, up until October the 8th. Can you imagine the SEC meetings, the media days, just everything? And it's kind of like you don't see this very often.
I like A&M scheduling a press conference before Deion Sanders could talk, because I'm curious to hear what Deion hasn't really said, other than tweets, anything yet.
No, he threatened to last night, but he never really followed up from what I saw.
So, he said a couple of tweets, but that's it. Saying he doesn't even make $1 million at Jackson State, and Travis Hunter was apparently paid $1 million.
Which Travis Hunter fired back by saying, well, why are and I forget the exact number, but he's like, why are my mom and 3 siblings or whatever, all living in a 2-bedroom. It was something along those
5
lines.
5 kids in a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's true. I do think this on Travis Hunter. I told Levi, said this earlier. NIL or no NIL, Travis Hunter went to play for Deion Sanders because he's obsessed with Deion Sanders. I mean, he grew up wanting to be Deion Sanders, and Deion very, astutely made the point of, I hear you're a fan of me. Why don't you come and we can be best friends here? That, and I can coach you. So why would you not do that?
Well, you're supposed to pick, I don't know
where
if
you want to be, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that in your decision, or at least the way that it was for a majority of people, was picking the right coach for you and the right place and the right program. And I think that's where, I don't even know if concern's too much of a word, but I think that's where it's getting lost, of just picking somewhere because that's where the money is. And hey, if folks want to do that, that's fine. But that's, I think, part of the argument.
Well, look, I think a lot of places the money is probably going to be about the same. And if you're just in it for the money, then there's nowhere that you're going to go that's going to be perfect for you. But if you are looking at all things being equal, that you can make some good money at all the schools you go to if you're one of these recruits, then you should pick the best one. Now, that's the rational way to look at it. I don't know if that's ever going to come in because, somebody, even like Tennessee's got this $8 million thing allegedly out there. Couldn't you really turn that down if you didn't want to go to Tennessee?
Well, I think it's a bunch of old people like us talking about it and not being 17, 18 years old and having Nick Saban offering me however much money that he allegedly doesn't offer, or Jimbo Fisher that he allegedly doesn't offer, or whatever, because they're not attached to these NIL collectives at all. But, yeah, I mean, it's different when you're in those shoes. So, it's one thing to be sitting there on the outside looking in and talking about these money figures. But if you're 17, 18 years old in Tennessee, let's say that happened. I have no idea if it did or not. But people say, well, you think they really offered $8 million? Sure. Why not? Why would that? Is there some figure that you think is like the line where that nobody would offer that much? So yeah, I believe it. I believe everything that's being said, and I'm not even mad about any of it. Like if Lincoln Riley tampered, okay, he did. If so-and-so tampered, okay, they did. If you offered a quarterback $8 million, okay, you did. I don't even care about any of that, honestly. I mean, the tampering part, if that's going on to the extent that some coaches are referring it to, that's where I do have an issue. Because, a kid signed up to play, or a young man signed up, or a young woman signed up to play for a program. And, that should mean something. But then, you get coaches make the, and then it gets into the weeds and whatever.
What did Abram Smith tell us when he joined us? I don't know if it was before the draft. I guess it was when he said something about his junior year, as he sometimes was walking out of the stadium or walking. Well, he had people coming up to him offering him deals, incentives to go somewhere else. So it's going to happen. It's not because Jordan Addison today committed to USC that they're the ones being singled out. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody's doing it. Exactly. I think they were doing it. Hell, they did it when Baylor and Art Briles had that dumpster fire. You don't think everyone started blowing up those guys who signed scholarships with Baylor phones? How did they find out who was interested? Easily, fast, quickly. And it could be a third party. Trace Ford is at Oklahoma State, and I sent this to you, Jack, back on Tuesdays at 9:56 p.m. To me, this is one of the best tweets about NIL, and I don't know if you're going to be able to find it. I know I'm not giving you much time. But it's 9:56 Tuesday night. I sent you this tweet, and if we can get it up, that would be great. If not, I'll just read it. One note, Baylor men's tennis in Tennessee in that Elite Eight, they're 1-1. Baylor lost a doubles point, won a singles match, and then all the other ones are really up for grabs right now along the way. I think Baylor leads in 2 or 3. Another one's close, and so they've got to win, again, 4 of those 6 singles matches.
Well, good luck to them. I mean, that would be pretty sweet to get to the Final Four. They played for a couple of national titles, indoor, outdoor last year, and fell short. But they can get back there and maybe win it this time. That would really put the capper on a tremendous athletics year for Baylor and what they've already done, with just especially success in football, but in various other sports as well, A&T, and obviously basketball still had good seasons, even if it didn't end the way that you wanted it to. But, yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how that plays out. I know a lot of people were worried about Tennessee and the matchup problem that they were, especially with the way Baylor played last weekend. So we'll see how it goes, but it sounds exciting.
Roger Dodger, I'll read this one. The state of college football is declining. Sure, Wild West NIL may be out of control, but we can't have regional national championships every year. Anything has to be done. I guess referring to the fact that the South is winning most of the national titles.
Well, that's where USC and Lincoln Riley come into play.
Yep.
That's where, Harbaugh and Michigan or Day and Ohio State and those teams come into play. Now, again, those are all the same brands, but it's only going to go further in that direction. I mean, look at every rule being passed. Look at NIL and all that comes with that, and who's benefiting the most from that, who's benefiting the most from the transfer portal. Hey, we had the number 5 recruiting class. We completely struck out on the O-line. Let's just go take Sam Houston State's guy, and let's take Tech's guy, and let's take, this guy. So every rule that's being made only benefits, or really truly benefits mostly the teams that are already benefiting the most. So I don't see how that's going to change. The only way the regional thing gets broken up is if Lincoln Riley just busts through and, USC and the West Coast are suddenly a bit more relevant, or maybe had Oregon maintained and busted through and won a national title when they had their opportunity. But yeah, it's hard to imagine that Utah is going to maintain and really shake up the scene if things stay the same. No, they're going to fall behind probably USC ultimately because of just pure talent.
And that's why I thought that what was surprising to me that when Nebraska won the whatever you want to call it, the sweepstakes for former TCU defensive lineman and edge rusher O'Shawn Mathis, the Texas fans were I was stunned that they did get him for a lot of reasons. But I was stunned because it was like you need about 100 of those before maybe everyone starts to go, wait a minute, we're not getting everybody we want, or at least.
He should have brought Zach Evans and Quentin Johnston and Chandler Morris and everybody with him. That would have made a bigger difference.
That was a surprise. But they're again, and that might help them for a short amount of time, and eventually it's still going to be, it's still the ones who have it, and you need to win. You can do these NIL things, but you better start to win. You better start to win. Nebraska, we know what their situation is. Texas, we know what their situation is. You can do that, but you better win. Even the money, eventually players want to win. The money's great, but they want to be at a place where they can be seen because the games they play are big.
You know what I can't get over in all this is kind of our national attitude towards regulating things and deregulating things. I mean, historically, it's kind of weird. Somebody who's probably smarter than me can put maybe a nicer bow on this, but I'll just use an example in Florida. So there was a commission that looked over agricultural growers, like mostly sugar growers, about the kind of runoff that they could dispose of. Then through deregulation, they instead of getting just keeping the smart rules and getting rid of the silly ones that overregulate things because some sort of rare worm lives in the ground here, you can't do something. They just got rid of all the rules and then put the sugar growers in charge of what they can dump into the waterways. Then all of a sudden, people in Florida who subsist on fishing and tourism are mad because there's a bunch of fish die off, and it's because they deregulated it down to the bone. Like this, had you just found some sort of balance to it as opposed to there's no rules, then maybe we wouldn't be so confused about everything right now.
Yeah, and then, at the same time, though, it's just it is what it is. It's not going to change really all that much. I can't see it changing all that much. I mean, the only thing I could see it really propelling towards is just, again, more of a separation, which there already is a gulf anyways between, 30 or so teams and everybody else. And, a collective bargaining agreement of some sort, which I know is a scary phrase. But, again, that's why I said it earlier when you're talking about the whole issue of players moving from place to place, which again, we hammer on certain points, and whether on this show or just in general college football conversation, and we really are at the end of the day, we're talking about a handful of players out of the whole grand scheme of things. I think sometimes we do need to stop and think about that. There's a Jordan Addison, but there's 100 kids not making NIL money or making like $200 every 6 months in NIL for every Jordan Addison. So does a Jordan Addison deserve to be getting paid whatever he's getting paid? Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, again, it's not the whole of college football, but that is where all the focus is. The focus is all on where the money is and where all the NIL is. But, it's still college football. It's a wildly changing game right now, and some people like it for the better. I would imagine most of those fans who do are fans of Miami and USC and Texas and A&M and the schools that are going to benefit the most, and the people who realize that their teams are probably never going to have that magical season that they once had where they were able to pop up and actually have hope for a change, that those days are going to be even fewer and farther between. And that's all I'm coming from is just the – they talk, well, the small schools never had a chance anyways. Well, that's not exactly true. Yeah, I mean, like, Baylor's not won a national title in football, and, smaller schools aren't going to jump up and beat Alabama all of a sudden, but every once in a while you just have that hope that you can knock off that big dog, or every once in a while you do knock off that big dog, and it's a massive win, and it changes the trajectory of your program. And, like, now if you keep doing it this way to where it's all just about what can you do for me and I own all that, then I do feel like it takes away from that. And I don't think it ruins the game.
It's about dreaming to
just having some hope, and most teams, they say, well, you're a UCF fan, you didn't have a chance anyway. But it's like, no, it's not, people aren't delusional in thinking that they're suddenly going to compete toe-to-toe with Alabama. Nobody is thinking that way. Nobody's under the delusion of that. But it's just hoping that you don't have to beat Alabama, but maybe you can win your conference. Maybe you can, beat the big team who's been beating up on you. Maybe Kansas can beat Texas every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's about for people.
What is Boise State's greatest win?
Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl.
And it will be that way. And they had the chance to do that. Now, again, they've had others. I'm not saying that they haven't had some other nice wins and stuff, but that's noticed because it was unexpected, even though Boise State was really, really good. And are you going to get those anymore? Are you going to have those opportunities? Yes, but it's not going to be to possibly go win something big.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have some games like that in bowl games, but I mean, now everybody's pretty much just, pee those away too. Like, I mean, nobody, bowl games don't matter. This doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. Like, players should skip bowl games. And like all that's fine if that's where you're coming from. I think it's just kind of a downward trend that's not all that great ultimately for the sport. But what do I know?
There has not been a reason, given everything that's going on in college football, that you can give me to not support the 12-team playoff, because it's to me the best medicine to cure a lot of these problems. Now, it's not a cure-all, but at least,
in the end, is the 12-team playoff going to help maybe a possible Cinderella story exist, or is it only going to give the Wicked Witch of the West even more?
We're going to have 5 SEC teams, at a 12-team field and like that. Yeah.
Probably there's going to be a lot of years where that will happen, what Craig said.
I would say most years.
Most years that's probably going to happen.
Because otherwise they wouldn't support it.
Yeah, exactly. Most year that's going to happen. But it also just gives everybody else
a chance,
at least something to go for, as opposed to how can we get to 4th?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, I mean, what Cincinnati did, and they were beaten, as if most other semifinal games have been blowouts too, most of them, not all. What Cincinnati did was feel good. It was fun to watch. Baylor winning the Big 12. It could have been Iowa State or it could have been Texas Tech. It was fun. It was new. Not that Baylor hadn't won one before. That is what possibly could disappear. And I know, I get it. If my favorite team was really, really good and they were a blue blood, even now, and playing like one now, I don't know if I would care too much. I still say this, and this is not, I don't want the old rules of the NCAA. Those are old, they're gone. But I still think that there should be some semblance of innocence when it comes to still playing college athletics.
Well, some would argue that there never was, I know, and like, then you get into the coaches' contracts that people want to bring up. That's like the safety card to pull out whenever you make any type of. And the thing is like, you don't have to be dug in. Like, you can be willing to listen and realize, like, you know what, you made a good point there, and that is something that should have been changed long ago, or that shouldn't be the way that it always is. But yeah, I mean, just a little bit of hope, and throw the Shawshank Redemption quote out there if you want to on hope. But there is something to be said for that, is having a little bit of hope, and having a little hope that this year is going to be the year we have a good year. And hopefully that remains. Hopefully that spirit remains. A lot of it does have to do with just traditions and being on your college campus and all of that. But when you do feel like you have that little bit of hope, the crowds are bigger, there's more fun, and there's more excitement. And I just hope it doesn't whittle down to where a lot of that disappears, because we can talk about the same 10, 15 programs all we want to, but there are hundreds of programs out there, that just love the experience on Saturdays and are under no illusion that they're going to be national champions anytime soon. But just the hope of being out. Yeah, just the fun of being out there.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, the PGA Tour, PGA Championship going on at Southern Hills. Mito Cinco, I think Cinco Mito put something up that UCF has beaten Alabama. 2000, they beat Alabama. The only time they've ever played. Alabama that year was 3-8. That's not UCF's fault. Not their fault, but they did enjoy that, but that was 22 years ago. We'll take one call and then we break.
All right, this is either Derek or Eric. I think it's Eric in Cincinnati. Or go ahead.
No, man, it's Derek from South Carolina.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I just want to put something out there real quick. I love you guys, your commentary. I think y'all do a hell of a job, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
But if I was a high school player and the NIL was there, and I had the choice of getting a boatload of money or going to, let's say, the SEC, I think I would rather take my chances with the SEC for one reason, because of the level of competition, and then also if I spark, if I hit it, then I'm going to make that money like 10 times over. I think the art of competition is dead, and a lot of these kids transferring is a dream, and I just believe that competition is going to outweigh everything at the end of the day. I just don't understand like the transfer portal and all these kids making money and stuff like that. But if you're in the SEC and you hit, then you're going to be okay. That's like the kid Anderson. He's going to be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. I listen to what you guys got to say. Y'all have a good one now.
Thank you, man. Great to hear from you in South Carolina. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, you know what? One of the things I understand for quarterbacks, like if you're slightly below and not going to get on the field, the situation at Baylor, Bohannon and Chapin was going to be the same way for either guy for years and years. Why not transfer? Because only one of you can play, really play. For a wide receiver like Jordan Addison, I get wanting to go play at USC, but he's the Blitnikoff winner. He's going to be, his university has no bearing on where he's going to be drafted.
Right.
No matter what. So I see his point where, like, look, if you can go to the SEC and play and then maybe make a little money and do that, yeah, there's a lot of guys who transfer and then sit in the portal and nobody calls until, well, I guess I'll call him now because I need a couple of wide receivers and a tight end, so I'll call these guys. But
what's one of the things in danger with the transfer portal? School records won't be broken as much.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, the NFL draft pick numbers, like I said this a few weeks ago, they're going to be totally skewed because Jordan Addison's a USC draft pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should have been a first-round Pittsburgh Panther draft pick.
Absolutely.
He's going to be a USC draft pick. And that's, you can go across the board. And I do think there's a difference when it's a one-year rental versus a guy like Siaki Ika, for example. Yeah, he started at LSU, played a little bit there, but he's going to have played like 2, at least probably 3 years at Baylor before, and so he deservedly is a Baylor guy. Now, had he come in like a Drew Estrada for 1 year after playing multiple years, in the Ivy League, yeah, that kind of sucks that he's not going to get credit at his old school. What was it? I can't remember. Dartmouth? Yeah, Dartmouth. He's a Baylor guy instead. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of records that are just not quite what they appear to be.
Yeah,
like draft picks, like school records and things like that. Yeah,
Bijan Robinson, who's obviously talented. Of course, the not going to threaten the records, even though he's a great player. And he's going to play at Texas until he goes to the NFL. But yeah, school records, because people are going to be leaving after a year or 2 or 3 and not finishing up. And I know that means nothing when it comes to money. To me, maybe it's just I'm 63. That does mean a little bit to me. When we come back, Art Strickland from Southern Hills in the PGA Championship. Paul's Top 5 will be about the SEC feud and Tombstone, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. The city of Woodway, DiscoverWoodway.com online. The city of Woodway maintains 4 public parks, providing picnic areas, playgrounds, walking tracks, recreational activities. Parks Division maintains existing parks, beautifully landscaped, and also public grounds. Park projects that are developed through citizen input. The City Council and the Park Board also becoming a part of the overall Parks Division maintenance plan. Standards are set by, several goals, ensuring safety, yet visually beautiful and attractive areas through regular mowing, watering, cleaning, and litter removal. You know, you can have a park, and some are a little bit more beat up than others. Then you have those that are maintained and, they look really nice. And Discover Woodways, discoverwoodway.com. The city of Woodway has 4 of them, along with so much more. discoverwoodway.com.
The Memorial Day sales event is here at Allen Samuels in Waco. The new 2022 Impressive Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 have 2.9% for 72 months and $3,000 in bonus cash. That's right, and $3,000 bonus cash. This great incentive on the new 2022 Wagoneers for a limited time only at Allen Samuels in Waco. First responders get $500 extra cash. Come shop the huge new car and truck inventory today.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy old world pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online, pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 on Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Our good friend want to say hi to Mailman Corby Simpkins. He's watching us on YouTube. He said, how come you're limping in the studio, Corby? It's great to have you as one of our audience and have been for many, many years before even what we started with Sikkim 365 Radio.
I'll tell you why, because he crossed me.
What do you mean he crossed you?
You crossed
you
him.
did.
That's right.
We're now joined by we'll update the Baylor
crossed me,
men's
you
tennis against Tennessee. It's getting down to nut cutting time, literally. We'll have that in a moment. Where Art Strickland, columnist, covers the PGA Tour and the art of golf at Southern Hills, the PGA Championship. Art, there's no question, Rory McIlroy, when he can win a tournament, if he putts very well, obviously that's the case with most anybody, he's one of those capable of just running away and hiding. Your thoughts about his 500 today?
Yeah, Smokey, it's dinner time in Tulsa. I'm thinking about what Irish stew for dinner, maybe a little cabbage or something, because it's all Rory today. I mean, I think you probably saw the stat that ESPN flashed up, that in his major championship victory, his opening round was 68 or better.
Wow.
We shot 65 today. So, I think that tomorrow's a big day. I'll be honest with you. If he shoots another 65 tomorrow, I think it's getting late early for a lot of these guys. I think he could run away and hide. I think you're exactly right.
He drove the ball so incredibly well. Of course, his distance is great. He got a little sloppy in the back nine, but 65 in a major is great to know. Art Strickland, again at Southern Hills, the PGA Championship on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Art, who are you surprised to see struggle today?
I think I'm surprised to see Jordan Spieth struggle. I bet another media guy, he asked me, who's going to win that threesome, Tiger, Rory, or Jordan Spieth? I said, Jordan Spieth will win that threesome. He'll grind them out. I was wrong. I mean, Spieth, anytime you've got Spieth and John Daly tied in a major championship, something's gone wrong for Spieth. And then, Scotty didn't shoot himself out of the tournament, but last time I checked, he was even par, and that's 5 back. So Scotty was my pick going in, and he hadn't done a whole lot. But really, Jordan Spieth, I thought coming off a second and a first, or first and second in his past 2 tournaments, going for the career Grand Slam, I thought we'd see a little bit more from him today.
Well, obviously, Tiger, part of the storyline. He's in the tournament. He played in the Masters and faded. He may not fade. He may not even get to the weekend. Your thought? He just didn't seem. He looked so good early. I mean, 2 under par, sharp as attack, and then he started missing on some of his even short wedges, short irons. Your thoughts about his round?
Yeah, I think that, and I'll be honest on that. I thought he did all about that. Practice rounds look great, striking the ball, putting. Did we expect too much from Tiger? I think maybe I did. I don't think we forgot that he's on a leg that was nearly amputated and hadn't played in 500 days, and had an incredible round at the Masters. But I don't know if he can make the cut. I think he'd have to shoot even par tomorrow at Southern Hills, playing in the afternoon in the heat. I'm not sure that's possible for Tiger.
Yeah, he also made he missed a lot of putts like he did at the Masters as well. Again, you can miss 5 putts by 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and that's just the way it is. And he missed a lot right on the edge. That's my biggest fear, Jordan Spieth. And that's why I didn't pick Jordan Spieth to win this week, because I just seen him miss too many short putts, and I just you can't win majors like that. But I was surprised he didn't do better than he did. I will say that. Rahm is 2 over. You mentioned Scheffler. Koepka's struggling. Justin Thomas is in the mix. The course seems to be playing. We got a lot of wind. The course seems to be playing. It was easier in the morning, and sometimes that could be because of the wind. Everyone flips tee times tomorrow. Was the course soft because of overnight rain?
I don't think so, Smokey. We didn't have a lot of rain here. I don't think that was and I didn't think we'd see a 65 today. But you hit it exactly right on Rory. When he's going and he's got it going, a long time ago, Smokey, Rory's best is better than anybody else's best out here. You just don't know if you can see Rory's best. It's been 8 years. 8 years since he won a major. So that tells you how long we've seen his best. But or Smoak can say, here's another name you need to watch out for. And he gets overlooked in Scotty Spieth. Like Will Zalatoris, tied for second. He's played in the Masters twice, Smokey. He's finished second and sixth at the Masters. So there's 2 Masters for him. They come to the PGA. He won the Transfer Championship for Southern Belt. Very familiar with the and that him because got him pulled up the wire and Steve won a bunch. Rhule Sartorius, for this weekend.
All right, Art, thank you very much. Art Strickland, the art of golf. He takes people on trips to all the great courses around America and the country and the world, and you can go to his Google Art Strickland, Art of Golf, also PGA Tour columnist, getting a little bit of that wind type reaction as well. So we'll probably need to wrap that up as well. Let's see. Yeah, drive for show, putt for dough. I tell you what, Rory McIlroy did both today. He drove the ball almost flawlessly. And I mean long, which of course he is. But he also made putts and made them right in the middle of the hole most of the time. Got a little shaky in a couple holes in the back, 5 or 6 holes. So there we go with that. Now, Baylor tennis. One more update. Oh, Jack, the one Oklahoma State player. We're talking about NIL, and there's a lot of this. Oh, my God. This is Trace Ford. I thought this was funny. I love the sense of humor. NIL doesn't know my name yet, so if anybody in the Stillwater area needs their yards cut, my DMs are open. I love that. There's kind of something with a sense of humor, and I'm now a Trace Ford fan.
I mean, I already was, but, I remember him as a recruit. And, just throwing his name in the hat. Give me a little bit of love if you can. I mean, he could certainly, I'm sure we all can, use a little extra dough. And if you got the NIL opportunities, you're not getting them, then throw your name in the ring. And hopefully somebody in Stillwater will oblige you with something that would be right up your alley. But if it's not coming, at least throw your name in the ring. But that's the reality, though, is that, again, we talk about Jordan Addison and we talk about Quinn Ewers and we talk about so-and-so and so-and-so, but 95%, if not higher than that, are getting peanuts or nothing at all through NIL. And I think that's where it's kind of interesting, is that there's clearly should be more marketable guys than that, but a lot of the money is kind of like everything else, kind of like college football, kind of like everything else. It goes towards the top, and those top players are going to be the ones that are, getting basically bid on or getting bids to, go to whatever institutions may be interested in, and whether or not that's exactly how it goes or whatever, because I know the coaches, again, don't have anything to do with collectives. I don't buy that for a second, really, but that's the way it's, supposed to be and what they say. But, yeah, if you can get something for Trace Ford, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Umojit Gibson, who played high school ball in Waco at University High, very, very talented young man. Went to North Texas, was good. Went to Oklahoma, was good. He got in the transfer portal. He'll now play at DePaul. So third school for him. There's more that have done that. But UNT to Oklahoma, and now he'll play for DePaul as he made that decision yesterday. Update on Baylor men's tennis against Tennessee in the Elite Eight. 2-2 right now. Tennessee won the doubles point and one singles match. Baylor's won a couple of singles matches. Again, they're 5-6. They've been really good. The other 3 matches are in the third set. There are 3 matches left. Baylor has to win 2 of them, and all 3 are in the third set. Baylor leads in the number 1 singles, 3-2 in the third set, 3-2 in number 2 singles in the third set, and the other match, Finn Bass, is 1-1 in the third set. They have to win 2 of those 3 as 2 of them go. And that's what happened last week, right, Jack? They had 3 matches that went to a third set, Baylor winning. 1 did? And they had to win, and they did win the third set. It was explosive as they got to the Elite Eight. Coming up next, Paul Catalina, top 5. He and I were on the phone earlier today, and I just threw it out there. It's the Wild West. I've heard that comparison. Maybe it's just not wild at all. And Tombstone, his comparisons to those in the SEC, along with Saban and Fisher and whoever else, Kiffin, and comparing them to Tombstone and characters in that great movie, Sick 'em, 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from Select, Choice, or Prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice, or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com, or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 555.
Welcome back. Top 5 at 555. This was we've done a Tombstone characters one before.
Greatest movie ever.
I know, and tomorrow I might do them as by request from Mike Scarborough. Coaches says Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad characters. Since you're not going to be here, and I don't have to talk over your head on that one.
No, I got an MRI to go through.
So
I got to get.
But number 5, the NCAA is John Behan. He ain't no law.
Is he the one with the little?
Yeah, a little bowler.
Picture's right
That's
there.
him right there.
Oh,
he's the one who was the sheriff.
Yeah.
And I met the sheriff. Oh, Behan, he ain't no law. And then, you're all under arrest.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to let you arrest us today.
I don't think I'm going to let you arrest us today, Behan.
Yeah.
He's walked away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, corrupt, empty suit. Yeah, I mean, that describes the NCAA to a T, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. On the take. Number 4, Deion Sanders is Doc Holliday.
I'm your Huckleberry.
Here's the deal. Deion will say anything to anybody at any time. Although I'm thinking, I had to think about this in 1,000 different ways, because you could put almost any character into these next 4 that you wanted to, depending on your perspective on the situation.
Right.
It depends on who you think the good guys and bad guys are. So I took the tack that Nick Saban is the bad guy here. Now, I don't think there's...
Is your A&M blood interfering with that
No,
decision?
because I thought it was funnier this way.
All right.
Look, I'm mad at Jimbo Fisher
right.
I'm a jilted bride when it comes to him.
Yeah, you're right.
But
funniest part is that in real history, Doc Holliday was not that good of a guy. Now there was Wyatt Earp, quite frankly.
Yeah, they were kind of
all good guys in real life.
Everybody in this was kind of shady. To varying degrees.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an appropriate thing.
I don't need to know.
Yeah. I mean, Doc Holliday was a gambler who was married to a prostitute named Big Nose Kate.
I like Doc Holliday.
Yeah. But look, Deion Sanders will say wild things. He's quick, and he almost lost a foot this year, so he's kind of sickly. So
I'm not laughing about that.
No, but I mean, there's all that. Plus, even though there's a lot of people who don't like Deion Sanders, but like Deion Sanders, much like the people in Tombstone, they kind of like or don't like Doc. Depending on where your shades are. Even the Doc only had one friend. I think Deion has more than that, but it just kind of fits to me like that because also let's just admit it. On the cool factor of all this, the actual coolest person in this is Deion, and Doc Holliday is the coolest person in that movie.
Yeah, I would
that's
say
your favorite character, right?
Yeah. It is. Probably one of my favorite movie characters, if not the most favorite of all time. Yeah. But Deion, when Doc didn't talk a whole lot, but when he talked, you listened. And when he called you out on something, you went, oh, wait a second. I think Saban did that a little bit last night when Deion started popping off about, his son showing him that tweet of the video. So, yeah, I can see Deion as Doc, kind of a, some love him, some hate him, like you said, but I don't think many mess with him.
Yeah. Number 3, and the only reason I put this is the only coach I could see saying, all right, Lunger, let's do it, is Lane Kiffin. He's the only guy I would see just popping off and saying that. But, yeah, he's Johnny Ringo, wild, fast, loose,
mad.
But
he's not mad.
But I don't know. I don't know. Kind of crazy at times. I mean, Ringo was kind of crazy all the time.
What was the word? And I know what was they're at that poker table and Ringo and Val and Doc Holliday are going at it.
And in Vino
he
Veritas.
tells his girlfriend, maybe his wife about, it reminds me of me. No, I hate him.
Yeah, I really hate him. Yeah, and that's kind of maybe where it is. Yeah, he reminds me of me. Yeah, I really hate him. Just like Deion Sanders and Lane Kiffin may get along. I don't know, who knows. But, they are, crafty and shoot off in the mouth sometimes. So
yeah, I mean he carries a quick pistol and is a little bit of a tweener, more of a bad guy than he is a good guy, and I think that'd probably be. I don't know. I think the opinions though have changed about Lane Kiffin over the last couple of years in a pretty dramatic way. But I know he does have his detractors.
You think
still
because he's winning?
No, I think just because he pops off a lot and he upsets the establishment.
Yeah.
And, a lot of Alabama fans, do respect him because of his time there, but I think they also are probably starting to learn to not like him as much now. But I would say more of Johnny Ringo is just that he's not afraid to talk. The only thing is, and he's a badass, but the only thing is eventually he's going to run to a Doc Holliday who's going to call him out on it. And that hasn't happened yet. But, and that also didn't happen in real life, but that's okay. That was all made up. Yep. But yeah, I mean, he pops off, and he's somebody that a lot of people, are I guess not fearful of, but he's got something to him.
There's several more working theories about how Johnny Ringo died, and
nobody knows for sure.
Nobody knows for sure, but pretty much was not Doc Holliday.
He was found where he was found. Like that part of the movie was accurate as far as he was found like the nestle of a tree. And you can actually go see that place, and all that's true. But as far as how he died and who did it, there's a lot of different theories. But it wasn't. The proof says that it was not Doc Holliday.
Yeah. Number 2, Nick Saban is Curly Bill. Here's the deal. He's the founder of the feast, and also given the way, actually right here in this scene, that Curly Bill dies. Thinks he's got Wyatt surrounded, is laughing, and then Wyatt just says, no.
Yeah, Curly Bill and the Cowboys were having their way with things, and eventually they ran into the wrong crew, or pissed off the wrong people, and, they fought back. And maybe that's Deion Sanders is the part of the group of, Holiday and Kilmer and all those guys that are going to fight back against Saban. But, yeah, he's kind of been the establishment, the leader of the bad guys, if you will. And, I think that's fitting, Curly Bill. He's in a bit of a fight. He's been able to intimidate a lot of people, but I think there's finally some people now that are not that intimidated any longer.
Yeah. And number 1, Jimbo Fisher is Wyatt Earp. And I say this because of the way he reacted. You tell him I'm coming.
Yeah.
And hell's coming with me, you hear?
Yeah.
Hell's coming with me. That's exactly how he reacted in the press conference today. Now, whether or not he's really Wyatt Earp, and you could flip this every which way you want to, based, again, on your perspective of who you think is more right and wrong in this. But I went this way, so it worked, because I did spend about 20 minutes a day. Like, I could apply this logic to almost any character in this. I could pull out an Ike Clanton. I could pull an Ike Clanton.
Yeah, that's who I wanted to be a part of.
I just didn't. Here's the thing. I didn't want to.
He's a run guy.
There's a lot of people who I would like. Brian Kelly could be Ike Clanton. I don't know, but he didn't say anything yet, so I don't know.
Who is it in college football that starts a fight and runs every time?
I mean, Texas is Ike Clanton.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I don't know. They're not in this feud yet.
Yeah, I'd say he's Wyatt Earp just from the standpoint, like you said, tell him I'm coming, hell's coming with me, and not backing down from Curly Bill, a.k.a. Nick Saban, but obviously not a through and through all the way perfect angel himself, would be fair to say. So I think that applies. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, man. I mean, I wouldn't have known where to really start with that, but I think that's pretty fitting, all five of those.
It's good that I've seen this movie well over 100 times.
The other day, just the other day, and I'll text Craig, hey, on AMC, whatever, Tombstone. It's like the 417th time, or John Wick 1, 2, or 3, or Equalizer. I'll sit there and I'll start watching it again.
Let me read a couple of the ones that we were sent in. TJ said, Saban has to be Wyatt. Seldom talks, but when he does, he means what he says. Usually comes out on top. Lane Kiffin is Doc just because he makes me laugh and he's random as hell. Jimbo is like Ike Clanton. He kind of hangs around spouting off, but mainly because I don't like him. And TJ is a Longhorn fan. Don Fortenberry says, I would break it down like this. I'll boost Lane's ego and let him be Wyatt. Now for the good stuff. Saban is Doc Holliday. Jimbo is Johnny Ringo. Can't you see Saban telling Johnny, I'm your Huckleberry? So
yeah, that's right.
I mean, I could see that, but he did the exact opposite of that today. He, if anything, tucked tail and ran, and I'm sure some Bama fan will take that the wrong way, but he backed down from his comments. There's no denying that. I didn't mean that. That was taken the wrong way. That's not what I said. All of that. That was a big running backwards press conference or whatever statement or interview, I guess. Yeah, interview that Saban did. He walked a lot back of what he had said just, that we discovered last night. So, you could go a lot of different ways, I'm sure. But, I think that's a good list, Paul.
Real quick, go ahead.
Brian Etheridge says, Jimbo's McMaster's getting drugged behind that horse that's actually an elephant.
Oh, my God. Hutch, I'm going to go with Fisher as Sheriff Behan. Lane Kiffin has to be Doc Holliday from Desert Bear on the site.
Yeah, Lane is Doc. I mean, he does kind of pop off and, say some things, and he's not really afraid to say that. So, I could see that be very fitting as well.
And then there's a couple of others as well. In that case, I think you have about 11 Ike Clantons in this movie. Grin and Bear on the site as well. Does Mike Leach get involved as Johnny Ringo? Huh?
No. Mike Leach, to me, I don't know where he fits in that movie. There's not really a character for him.
And here's fine. We'll wrap it up with CNC. Curly Bill is Saban. Everyone hates a dynasty. Johnny Ringo is Kirby Smart, next in line, second most powerful, feared person at the beginning of the movie. Married couple at the beginning of the movie, Clark Lee and Drinkwitz. Virgil Earp is Pittman at Arkansas. Old dog, very wise, longtime position coach turned sheriff head coach. Johnny Tyler. Lane Kiffin talks a big game. Always a lot of hype.
You get slapped
plus
up.
A bunch of whatever. Sheriff Behan is Fisher, like to lay down the law, just doesn't like following the law. And then finally, no one is cool enough to be Doc, and no one honorable enough to be Wyatt Earp. There's no law and order in the SEC. There's many others. Thanks for all those. Couldn't get to all of them, but thank you very much. All right, Levi Caraway's covering
Billy
Baylor.
Zane is Mike Leach.
Levi's covering Baylor and Oklahoma State 3-game series. Baylor needs to win one of those three to get in the Big 12 tournament or have Kansas swept by Texas. Thanks as well to Emery Winter and Jack McKenzie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about tennis for a second. I was confused.
Well, they're in the third set. All three of those singles matches are in the third set. And Baylor is up 4-2-1, 4-3-1, 5-3 in another. They broke a serve, so we'll see how that happens. That could be over the next 5 or 10 minutes. Good luck to them to close it out. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, right here Jeremy Crabtree from On3.com on a story involving that really right now runs everything NIL attorney, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Thank you. Thanks to our sponsors. Good night, Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.